Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, May 19th, 2021, and we're here for a regular town board meeting and also a community development meeting. As you see, we are getting back to normal. The town board is back up front, and we're following our governor's orders, and we're excited about it. We've been working since late last night until throughout today, attempting to open our town hall as quickly as possible, and I'll have a little further details in a few short minutes. And as always, we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Frank, can you please take the lead?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Frank. Do we have someone from the
Yes,
clergy?
we have the very esteemed Reverend Cooper here with us from the House of Praise Christian Revival. Thank you for being with us, Reverend Cooper.
Hey, Reverend Cooper.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let us bow our heads in prayer.
Sure.
Lord, we thank you for this day which you have made. We thank you, O God, for allowing us an opportunity to stand in your presence. We thank you for this august body who watch over the community, who plan for the community, and seek the best for our children, teens, adults, and seniors. Continue to bless and lead them and guide them, give them wisdom, understanding, and knowledge that all that we have, or all that may be presented, will prosper us. Thank you, O God, for always hearing our prayers and allowing us to go forward and not to repeat the sins of the past. Thank you, O God, to continue to love us, to bless us, that we may also respect one another, and we give you all the praise and the glory and the honor, that we may show others who the Riverheadians are. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you, Reverend. And we have several announcements today. First of all, the results of the governor's relaxing COVID-19 restrictions this week. As a result, the EOC, the Emergency Operations Command, made the decision to remove the temporary safety barrier that has been placed at Town Hall on the onset of the pandemic, as directed under the governor's order stating mandatory screening. Last week, I met with all the supervisors in Suffolk County, and we all agreed to begin opening our towns as full as possible. In addition, I received, myself and the commander, the emergency commander, which happens to be Chief Hegemiller, received an email from the governor's office stating that we can now relax our meetings. In addition, beginning May 27th, all public meetings will resume. We encourage the public to participate. We have had people here in person as they showed up. We have never turned anyone around. However, we had made our meetings available through Zoom and through live stream through the town website. I would also like to note that Brookhaven has never held a council meeting in their boardroom, so I want to thank my board. We were the only ones on the East End who were able to have the council showed up. Brookhaven will be commencing also to have in-person meetings on May 27th, and Southhold and Southampton also considering the same approach. Southampton began last week, and Southhold was, I understand, they're also going to, they're working on commencing next week. I'm going to ask Chief Hegemiller to come forward, as I know he has a few additional points to add on the, as the commander of the emergency management team. And I just want to note, he is the FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. He's the designated whenever there's an emergency. He is the commander. The command team consists of several people, but it must include the town attorney, and it must include the head of whatever agency and department and other members. So we had two members from my office. We had the chief, and we had our town attorney as part of that emergency command. So Chief, did you wanted to add? I know we've been working on this this last night, or whole day today, and try to reopen it, everything. Did you want to add anything as the commander?
Yeah, so good afternoon. As of today, as the supervisor said, the governor did lift the mask requirement and the social distancing requirement for vaccinated people. So that's why everyone's sitting nice and close up there.
Yep.
That's why everyone has no mask on. That's why I'm not wearing a mask. However, people that are not vaccinated should continue to wear a mask and to continue to social distance. As the supervisor also said, meetings will be open to the public starting May 27th, so we welcome everyone back. However, they're going to be limited because of capacity. The governor still has it down that you have to limit areas for social distance, with social distancing. So in here, we have a capacity limit that we'll publish in the next SOEs that come out.
And we also, anyone who showed up for in-person meetings were allowed in the past.
Yes, as long as they were invited, they were
Yes.
allowed to be in. They were-
Invited, or they called, or they showed up and said, can I sit in? We have included them. In fact, we got 2 phone calls yesterday, people asking to come to the meeting. I don't see them here, but yes, that's always been the case. It hasn't been on a selected basis, or people saying that it was on a, you had to ask permission. So we always had it open, and again, I have to stress that Brookhaven hasn't had one in-person meeting at all. And they followed what we followed, and actually we took it to a different level, that we had the council here, and anyone that was available was able to participate. So
I'd just like to say, I think it's only a short year ago that the stuff hit the fan, and it was scary times. And I think, we needed to take precautions because people did not know where this was going, where it was leading. There were people that were staying home. There were people that were quarantining themselves. So people had to be protected. So I think you guys did a fantastic job in keeping not only the personnel here, but the community at large protected through the beginning of this, this terrible pandemic.
Right, and even through that, we still operated as a town. Even though we had to shut down for a small period of time, we still operated, we still took money in, we still handed permits out, we still made the town function for those 2 months that we were shut down.
And Chief, I just want to add, and I'm glad that you brought that point up, that we never closed any services except when it was mandatory that the governor closed all buildings. We opened up 2 weeks later, and all our services began. And as of today, we still have other towns that have all their buildings closed with no services, only through online.
Yeah.
So I think that,
And the county and the state too.
excuse me?
And the county and the state.
And the county and the state, they remain closed. So I understand that people, they look at things and they don't look at the full perspective. But anybody who wanted to consult with us and speak to us, we've always been available. Fortunately, some people who have set forth rumors have never even spoken to us about any of this. So, and I'm proud. I'm proud of our town that we got to where we are. And we always kept the services that not one person was ever turned down from attending here or coming in. Yes, it was put on the website that town hall is open with limited services. What is it?
Access.
Limited access, meaning that you have to social distance, you have to wait outside. We can't have 20 people coming in under COVID. And so we just want to make that clear, to the public. And, we did get a lot of people that thanked us, and they said, you guys were very professional. I didn't know what I was going to face. We always see the negative stuff. We also have to see the positive stuff of, everybody thanking us.
Supervisor, I have to commend you. I had an opportunity to speak to some of the other town supervisors last night, and sometimes the directors from the governor's office were a little bit confusing, and so it takes a great balance to try to keep open government working and also keeping safety as a priority, and I think you did a wonderful job, and so I have to commend and everybody here and all of our town employees that came in and worked here. We never stopped working. They did a phenomenal job over the last year and a half, so I just commend everybody, all the staff, and it was done in a safe manner, and so I know that it's always appreciated by every resident in the town, I'm certain.
I was part of that conversation. Actually, I wasn't the one that brought it up. It was one of our journeying towns, not to give him up, and we were sharing how frustrated where we have all these excessive meetings, and we would ask questions and nothing got answered. And what he actually said was, sometimes we call each other to work together and synthesize how we're gonna do it. And they also shared that they can't wait to open their towns. So, and I think that we took the lead in a lot of ways, and again, I thank the town board for coming in. You were the only ones so far coming in to hold our council meetings. Chief, did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, no, just one further thing. So sign in and check in will continue through the next, I guess, maybe couple of months until that changes too. So there will still be a screening,
Temperatures or no?
temperatures, yes, a screening, and sign in when you come in the front door.
ID, chief?
Just ID to the officer that's out there.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I'm going to say I was not aware that anyone could come into the meetings. I was certainly not aware of that. I don't believe the community was either. But but where we are right now is that things are opened up. I'm glad to see things opened up. I do think it's a good idea to still have checks at the door with temperatures and such. I'm pleased that we're in here. I'm pleased that we're sitting up here together and that we're all vaccinated and don't have to wear masks. So that's where we are right now.
And Timmy and I are pleased that we don't have to sit in the queue.
Yeah, I know, that was just, you almost
Absolutely.
come over.
Look like I'm always slumped over here up in the seat.
Because we put our two biggest people in the littlest spaces.
And there is still some uncertainty as to vaccinations, so you ask for this and whatever, that's going to be all sorted out. We've been spending endless hours since, the last 2 days, just talking to the Department of Health, talking to the CDC, and just going around in circles. So as soon as we get more direction, we do have our governor's representative, who's been very good, Teresa Santoro. Sometimes when they're not sure where they're going, they'll take 2 or 3 days to answer the email, but they do get back to us. So if we don't have, if somebody has a question, we'll send it. How long did it take them to get back to us when we asked them we wanted to open fully town hall?
About the laser light show, it took forever for them
Oh, the
to get
laser
back.
light show, that was the thing
Forever
I'm
to
talking
get back
about.
to us.
We made, 2
Yes.
weeks ago, we made an inquiry that
Right.
we needed to open up all our buildings, and
Right.
how long did it take for them
It
to
took
respond?
a few days, for sure.
Yeah, quite a while, yeah, so if
And
we finally.
we emailed them today too, so we'll see what they have to say.
And, we're gonna continue that. You might not see all the efforts going behind, we closed town hall very quickly, and there was a lot of misunderstanding, and then we have to reopen it back very quickly, and there's still a lot of misunderstanding. So our interest is to make sure that we keep the community involved, we keep the community engaged, and not, keep politics out of it, obviously, and not, and make sure that people have the ability to reach us. And I think we've been doing a good job, so. And as an added measure, these town board meetings, I know some of the supervisors may be concluding, maybe possibly not, continuing with Zoom, but I think to be more inclusive, I think that I want to continue the public participation. So we agreed on this, Chief, and I think it's good to keep Zoom open. So
I
they
wish
have
I'd
3
bought
minutes.
stock in it about 15 months ago.
That's
So
for
are you
sure.
saying that people can come to the meetings or come in by Zoom? They're going to have an
Yes.
option? Okay.
We're going
I
to be.
think that aside from that, we should also be changing our meetings, so we have some meetings at 6 o'clock. It's just, I think it's outrageous that we only have 2 o'clock meetings. It's not fair to people that work. So I'd request that we also put back in some 6 o'clock meetings.
Okay, so as far as it being outrageous, Brookhaven only has a 5 o'clock meeting. Remember, we're still under a state of emergency.
This is
However,
Riverhead.
okay, let me finish. Yeah. In other towns, they have their weekly meetings, but the next executive order, and it's sitting down and now on my desk, Chief, right? We were working on it right before the meeting for our next executive order. We are starting our 6 o'clock meeting, so it's gonna take a while. We can't start everything. So we are gonna start, what day did we agree?
Yeah, so not this month, but next month it'll resume.
Yeah, the first meeting is
Right.
6 o'clock? So
First
that's-
meeting will be at 2 o'clock in June. The second meeting, which is the third week, the third Tuesday, will be at 6 PM.
Good.
So what will we have? So we'll start in June and we'll be every other meeting is at 6 o'clock?
Correct, as
All right, good.
as scheduled.
I think we should be doing whatever we can to make our meetings accessible to the public. We do work for the people, so I think that, we should be opening things up and making it easy for people to come to our meetings.
Absolutely. The public voted us in. They had faith in us, and we're going to continue to engage the public and Did you have anything else, Chief?
Everyone was very patient during the first phase and did a good job, and we made it, so that's a great thing. And just patience for the second phase, and we'll make it through this too.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes,
Chief.
thank
Okay.
you, Chief.
Thank you very much, Chief. Thank you.
Okay. All right, next, I want to thank everyone who took and completed the marijuana survey. We had more than 1,400 people participate and provide feedback. The results we have here, they were given to the board on Monday. I am going to, this is a town meeting, we're not going to have a work session on, make it into a work session. So we'll discuss it at the next work session where it belongs. But I know somebody had mentioned that I was going to release it on Tuesday. I really was going to wait till Thursday. It doesn't matter. We're going to put it online today. So the results are available. Again, it was made available to the entire town board on Monday. Just preliminary, we had 86% of the people responded were Riverhead residents, 13 were business owners, 73% were marijuana supported. 73% supported marijuana sale in Riverhead, 61% supported on-site cannabis in cafes and lounges, and the list of locations, downtown 30, where people supported retail was downtown 37%, 24% none of the above, 22 on Route 58, 10 in industrial areas, and 8 were other. As far as cafe and lounges for consumption purposes, 40% stated downtown, 33 none of the above, 12% 58 on Route 58, and 8% other. We left it open for comments to the public, and we have, I believe, close to 500 comments. Some of them didn't take the survey seriously, and others did, and others weren't sure. That's up for, that'll be on the town website. The board has it. We'll make it available. We need to make sure that we have a public hearing on this, because that's really when you're going to see also further public input. You can't determine legislation based on one survey. As a researcher, I can assure you that that's not the way how we should make a decision on the effects of such an important legislation. So we are looking forward to it. We'll work out, where's Anne Marie? We'll work out when we can hold the next public meeting, but we need the entire public to be involved. Devin, are we going to put this on the website today, right?
Sure can, yeah. Should we do that?
Yes, please. Can you put it on the website? And you know what? The little analysis of all the report, maybe put that on there, what I just read, because I know it's, we went through it pretty fast.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where we stand, and again, we'll discuss this fully, with the board Thursday at work session. Okay.
This Thursday?
Next Thursday.
27th.
27th. All right, so we're moving forward from that one. Next, I am pleased to announce that yesterday, the town of Riverhead took a huge leap forward towards the goal of creating a new town square by closing on the purchase of 3 buildings directly across the street from the Suffolk Theater. Especially given the year when we've had been fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, this is a huge accomplishment for the Riverhead, and I want to thank the entire board for supporting the Town Square project, and also our CDA Director, Dawn Thomas, and of course, the attorney who worked on all the legal aspects of this, and trust me, there were many. There's a lot of paperwork to sign yesterday. After I did the initial, we were there for 2 additional hours, signing all the documents, and we look forward to creating this effort. And I just want to add that we are going to discuss this next week as to the finances. Bill, you'll be available at the next work session. How we're going to work with that? Again, we're not going to make a town board meeting into a work session, but the public needs to be informed as to the finances, how this worked out. We did have a committee between the deputy town attorney, the CDA director, Dawn Thomas, and Bill Roth, our financial administrator, and they worked on quite a few scenarios, and in the end, there's a good possibility that it's not going to cost the taxpayers one penny. So let's see where that's going, and lastly, I just have one more announcement. Last week, I contacted the attorney for 555, and we do have a work session scheduled for them also for next week. And this was, they agreed to come and produce finances to us, and they're going to be part of the meeting, and that's a work session meeting. I know there's been all kinds of press and people making comments, but that was the result of Tim agreeing to bring them in. I know Catherine Reyes did, and then Tim, so I immediately, a day later, we made the call, and they have agreed to come and produce it, and we're going to take it from there at work session.
So I just want to say I'm glad they're coming in. I have been asking it for a couple of months, but I hope that this time the principals come in as well.
Okay, they're going to be here.
Last time they didn't send the principals, so I think it would be good to have them here too.
They're going to be zooming in, I understand. That's being worked on because we are in contract, and that's being worked on through the town attorneys, but it's just as in being in person. So they're going to be, if they choose to zoom in and come in, it has the same potential. They will be here and they will provide, and that's the extent that it's being handled by the attorneys.
Well, this is a really important thing for our town, and I think they could give us the courtesy of, at the very least, zooming in. I think they should be at the table talking with us.
Okay, and they are. Okay, so, so if you ever want to find out anything on EPCAL or working, discuss, drop into the office. We'll be more than happy because things do happen quickly. But after you made the recommendation, and Tim decided to say, okay, let's bring them in, I made the call the next day. That I was taken care of. So, and that's good. It is our biggest project.
Yeah, and I mean, moving forward, maybe, I think it would be good if the rest of the board knew that, since it was something that we talked about and we were questioning.
Okay, and that was good. You did speak about it, I made the call, and it was confirmed. We had a tentative date, and it was confirmed 2 days ago, just prior to your press conference. So, but moving forward, and I decided myself to wait, a day or 2 or 2 days while I'm here. There's a lot of other projects going on, and it's good, and the board will be here, and we'll all participate, so that's great. Again, the public may watch our meetings through Zoom. You have that option. You have the option of participating through Zoom. You have the option of viewing it live through our town website, and of course, those individuals who want to visit Town Hall, and hopefully we're going to see a good amount of people now that all the restrictions are being lifted by our governor. Hopefully we're going to see a lot more participation here.
Do we know what the number of people that are going to be allowed into the boardroom?
15.
15?
Yeah.
Does that include?
That's to
Us?
give up enough room. We're still working out the logistics, and that's a great question, Tim. That's something that me and the chief have been working on. Again, we're opening town, so we have to have those discussions. And so it looks like right now we have the next couple executive orders to incorporate that. This is happening so fast, so it looks like it's going to be 15. We're going to double check with the Department of Health.
15 not counting us?
It looks like the
Okay.
chief is nodding. I think you're saying that it's 15 in the audience.
In the audience,
aside
and the
from
blue tape.
us.
Blue tape.
Right.
So, but again, we have to double check everything and make sure that that's why part of the EOC, the emergency command, has to have the attorney, because we have to make sure we follow guidelines, the guidelines and the CDCs, and we're constantly, and things change overnight. So, and then we have to revert back. So we are, working on the next, when is that due, the 22nd, the one we're working on right prior to the meeting? Yeah, so we're working on it to make sure that we tighten it up, because we have to make sure it's as correct as it can be. All right, so that being the case, moving forward, can I have a first and a second to close the town board meeting and go into a CDA meeting, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Diane, can you please call the vote?
Certainly. Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The town board meeting is closed and the CDA meeting is now open.
Okay, so, Dawn Thomas is traveling, and we're gonna have Joe from her office. Would you come forward? Good. Thank you. Good afternoon,
everybody.
Joe.
Afternoon.
Good job lately. I just want to personally thank you for
Thank
your
you.
professionalism and working, with our office, and it's been a pleasure.
And certainly want to thank the entire town board. You know, what you all helped us accomplish yesterday with closing on those buildings is, I've been here 27 years, and I don't think that I've seen a full town board cooperate together in such a manner to take a very bold step that's going to pay huge dividends in the future. We couldn't be any more excited, but particularly in light of last year's
I agree.
pandemic, the fact that the board had the courage to see its plans through and kept its word that we would indeed close on those properties. Fantastic things are certainly going to happen for downtown Riverhead. So,
And I think it's going to transform downtown. Thank you, Joe.
That's the purpose of it.
Thank you all.
And by the way, just a quick note on that, most of our buildings now are in contract to be purchased and some of them renovated, and that's a good thing. Those blighted buildings are starting to disappear. So anyway, you're here, I don't want to get off course, and I
Yep.
want to stay on course. Thank you for your kind words, and go ahead, Joe.
okay, so I need a first and a second to approve the board meeting minutes of April 20th, 2021.
Motion?
Second.
Motion Hubbard, second Bayrod. I guess I call each
Yes, by
person's
vote.
name.
Yeah, call the vote?
Bayrod,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Aguirre,
Yes.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Motion approved. And then we have one CDA resolution to approve the short-term runway agreement with Scramble Inc. for the temporary drag racing events at EPCAL.
Just want to open it up for comments on that resolution. You have to open it up to the public
Okay.
Right.
for comments first.
So I guess first we'll,
So we're going to go back, and we're going to have Chip bring anyone forward. And after the comments, we'll take the vote. Okay?
Okay, Supervisor, first we're going to bring up Phil Barbado.
Okay?
Okay, I think, is
Hi, Phil.
that okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I'd like to comment on resolution number 5, related to this drag racing event. There's a number of questionable items in the application, the environmental assessment form, and the agreement that's been made. And I think you need to really take a look and unravel those confusing questions before you go any further. Just to give you some examples, I'm specifically looking at the amount of people, the traffic, the parking. In the application itself, it says that the total number of people per day is 150, and that the total expected people per hour is 150. And the spectators is 0, which is pretty weird. Their own website says that their tickets are sold out for spectators and participants. And they don't tell you how many people that is. So I think you need to know why the application said there was going to be no spectators, and you need to know how many they're actually planning on having. That's the first comment. And then on the parking, they say that they'll be providing parking for 250 spaces. And what happens if there are more spaces needed? Where are those other spaces going to be provided? And will they be in a correct place? We haven't looked at that. In the EAF, in question number 3A, it lists the total acreage of the proposed action as 2,921 acres. Does that actually mean that they can use the entire EPCAL property? That's what they've applied for, 2,900 acres, and we gave it to them. The EAF, question number 8. It says, will there be a substantial increase in traffic? And they answered simply no. I find that hard to believe if there's going to be 1,000 spectators and participants, and there's only access from Grumman Boulevard and Route 25. What happens if traffic is backed up? We haven't really looked at that. I think the chief ought to take a look at that if he hasn't already. The EAF question number 15 asks if the site contains any species of animal or their habitats listed as threatened or endangered. And that answer was no. And I'm sure you realize, based on the non-conformance reports we've gotten from the DEC, that that is incorrect. There are some very important threatened species habitat, including grasslands, right adjacent to the area where these races are going to take place. And they just simply answered no. So what happens, what are they going to do to moving vehicles around and parking them if they don't even know that there's threatened habitat in the area? The EAF question number 20 is the site subject of remediation for hazardous waste? The answer to that, no, as well. And you know as well that the Navy is cleaning up a lot of contamination there, and there's even a state Superfund site not far from where these races are proposed to be taking place. So that question needs to be revisited. If they're going to be moving cars around or parking them in an area that's contaminated with hazardous waste, what will the town's responsibility be then? They have an attached public safety plan, and it says that the event, this will be an event with no public spectators. So their public safety plan is based on their assumption that there'll be no spectators. Yet they're selling tickets like mad on their website, and it's actually saying that they're sold out now. So which is it? Are there no spectators, or there are hundreds and hundreds of spectators? We've based this permit for the Part 255 application on this faulty and misleading and patently incorrect information. And if we're going to just put a rubber stamp on it with this CDA resolution and agreement, we're really backing into a corner here, and we're not taking care of the town's responsibility.
Okay, sir, that's 5 minutes. Appreciate your comments. Supervisor, should we go to the next person in the meeting room?
Yes.
Is anyone, are you guys going to answer any of the questions? Supervisor, you worked
I'll
on it?
I'll try to answer the.
I know Councilman Rothwell, you worked on it.
Yeah,
Did you guys?
I can speak
yeah.
about something, so I mean, I think you must be reading off the original application.
I'll ask the questions. Okay.
Is that okay? And-
I was going to hold off until all the people spoke. I was taking
I think
notes.
it's the best. Sure.
Hopefully I can
That is
address
the
all the
best
comments.
method. Sure. And we'll take notes, and that way
And
we
then
can
if
do it.
the board wants to
And then somebody might have the same question again. So more for efficiency, if you don't mind, Catherine, for efficiency purposes, I think we're gonna not just necessarily, unless it's just very unique. Yes, can you go to the next?
Okay, so the next person in the room is Tom Hughes. And just a reminder to everybody who's waiting in the meeting room, we need their names, also their hamlets, and they'll have, of course, 5 minutes to make their comments today. Mr. Hughes, can you hear us? Doesn't
Mike
appear to be
is-
connecting. He's there, he's just muted. Mr. Hughes, if you could unmute? Okay, Chip, I think we'll go to the next person in the room, since we're having connectivity issues there. Next person will be Angela DeVita.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Hi, good afternoon, members of our town board. I'm glad to see that you're all unmasked, finally. I'm Angela DeVito,
We're glad.
resident of Jamesport and member of the EPCAL Watch Coalition. I have 25 years' work experience as a public health and safety professional, possessing a national certification in occupational and environmental health and safety, as well as holding a Master of Science in Public Health. Here this afternoon to address my concerns about the public safety plan and emergency service information that was included in the application from Scramble and the information that was available to the public. The plan is attached is somewhat sparse, and I believe that we should not go forward with this resolution number 5 with this contract because there's many questions that are unanswered. It's my understanding that our fire marshal just completed review of this plan on Tuesday, May 18th, and his review and comments were forwarded to the office of our town attorney. My first general question is, did each member of the board receive notice of the fire marshal's findings and review of this public safety plan? And my second general question is, as the review was not completed in sufficient time to foil for this meeting, can our town attorney please share with us his findings, the findings submitted by Mr. Zidek, who, as I understand, is out on annual leave? My third general question is, in each part of the public safety plan, what specific state and local laws, rules, and regulations were used as indices to establish sufficient compliance? There's some specific questions I have about the lack of information provided in the plan. They refer to standard operating procedures and policies. Have those been attached to the plan? Has that information been received by Town Hall and reviewed prior to drawing up the contract? What is the focus and content of the daily briefings, staff briefings that they're holding? Are the EMT, EMS staff members the only emergency personnel that will be on site? Is the Manorville Volunteer Fire Department going to be on site for the entirety of the event? If not, what's their anticipated arrival time in the event that they're needed? And who is going to intervene until they arrive? What type of staffing, including all of the volunteers they refer to, that is, what is their qualifications and credentials to put on and carry out all of the functions and responsibilities for an event of this size? Is there a separate first aid tent for spectators, or are services for possible non-life-threatening injuries incorporated into the anticipated EMT, EMS services? The EMS access time to an incident, how long is that? And that's going by each one of the 4 roadways, access points that they've mentioned in their plan. There appears to be provisions for evacuation of staff, autos, and associated auto drivers with staff, but where are the provisions for evacuation of spectators in the event that it becomes necessary? Have any vendors or all vendors been identified? And those who will be selling foodstuffs, do they have the requisite Suffolk County Department of Health permits? Is the signage they refer to in their plan sufficient? Where exactly are these signs going to be located to allow for ease of viewing? With approximately 1,000 spectators and about 200 participants, what is the number of portable toilet facilities that will be available? Estimates for use for crowds this size is about 23 if you use units, not counting those that are ADA compliant. How many units are going to be ADA compliant? And how many times a day are these facilities going to be cleaned for those who will be using them? Will each unit have hot and cold water as required, available for hand washing, as well as single-use towels for hand drying? Will facilities contain, for female patients, sanitary item disposable containers? And will there be attendant or volunteers present to assist with the maintenance, ensuring that the units remain clean and sanitary? What materials are going to be used to suppress any fires or explosions that may occur as a result of a mishap? Do we have material safety data sheets for these substances? Do any of the firefighting materials contain regulated chemicals? How will the hazardous spills be contained, treated, and cleaned up so that they do not contaminate the surrounding area? How many trash waste receptacles will be on site? How often will they be emptied during the 12-hour days, each of the 12-hour days? What spectators will be allowed to bring? Will spectators be able to bring in coolers, okay, and foodstuffs? How will each applicant control, how will the event applicant control for on-site use of alcoholic beverages, whether they arrive with the spectators or are sold by vendors? Aside from the runway maps provided, it's not clear if the registration area is mixed with the spectator viewing area. Exactly where are the 1,000 spectators going to stand or sit? Is the town of Riverhead, including our EMT, EMS services, and police services, the traffic control officers, going to be assigned to this event? If so, what are their anticipated costs to the town, and how will these be recouped? Will staff be taken off of normal operations and assigned to EPCAL? Has the police chief finished or begun reviewed proposed traffic control measures? And if so, can his findings be shared with us today? I think that these questions need to be answered. The public needs to know in some detail about how public safety is going to be ensured during this event, because as it is with any event we do with large numbers of people, and I would ask that they be answered today and that you hold off on resolution number 5, not go forward until they're all answered. Thank you very much.
Okay, Supervisor.
Angela, I wrote down your questions, but I didn't get one. What was the question you asked about where the spectators would be standing, or what was that question?
The spectators are, it's not clear. I thought it was, there's a registration area for, and my assumption in reading it, it was for the participants in the actual races and that. And are they going to be mixed? Is the spectator viewing area mixed with this registration area?
Okay.
There didn't seem to be a specific area on, at least the maps that were available to be downloaded from the town website, where spectators were going to be separate from event participants.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Supervisor, next we're going to bring up Kathy McGraw. No, she left? Okay, it
She
appears
actually
that maybe
lives in
she's
Atlanta,
left the meeting
Georgia.
room.
It's on
Next,
the
we're going to go to
website.
Linda.
She lives in Atlanta, Georgia.
We don't have a last name on Linda, so Linda, if you could please state your full name
Owns a house on North.
and of course
Yeah.
your hamlet, and a reminder that you'll have
She
5
moved
minutes to
there.
make your
Yeah,
comments.
she rents it.
Linda Nemeth, and I'm from the Calverton. I want to speak about that drag strip issue that you're discussing. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay. I've been listening to a lot of comments from the residents who've moved into that area nearest the Grumman site over the past several decades. I mean, Grumman has left. They did not expect to have a raceway near them. They did not expect to have a jetway or airfield, anything of that sort. Now they're being subjected to possibly more than an occasional drag race. The amount of noise, pollution, et cetera. I can tell you I live a good distance from the Riverhead Raceway. I knew it when I moved here. I expected that because of the numbers of days that they are allowed to, let's say, perform. It can be a weekday and it can be a weekend. And you can't hear anything in your backyard. You can't have guests during that time. I don't know when this event or these events will be held. My concern is possibly I will hear it. I know friends of mine who live on Riley Avenue used to hear everything from Grumman when they were active. And this is probably not going to be much different. I don't see defensive or sound walls in the area. There's nothing to stop the sound from spreading. And certainly that sound travels miles and miles. Not only that, the noise, the pollution, again, the traffic that people will have to confront who live there. I see what happens over by Halleckville, and that during this, you'll see what's happening now. All know what's happening on Sound Road. At any rate, I speak on behalf of the people who live closest, but also just to discuss the amount of pollution that is going to be produced there, and the noise pollution as well as the air pollution. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor, we'll go back to Kathy McGraw. It appears she's back in the room.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Apparently Kathy is on Tom Hughes's computer, even though we heard from Tom before. Kathy, are you there?
Oh, okay, so they're together in the same room?
Evidently.
Okay, and Tom did speak before, didn't he?
Correct.
No, we.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I have him on my list, but we didn't get him.
Okay,
Didn't connect.
So, all right, so we'll get Tom first, and then we'll get Kathy.
I think it's
Okay.
Kathy. I think
Okay,
that's where Kathy is.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Tom has decided not to speak, so I will speak. This is Kathy McGraw. Sorry for the complications. First of all, drag racing is obviously really popular, and I understand that, but it seems to me that the planning and preparation haven't been adequate, and there's been no effort to protect environmentally sensitive acres that abut the runways, specifically the 1,000 acres, Supervisor Aguiar, that you have pledged to protect at EPCAL. Many questions have been asked by the town board at the Scramble work session, which I watched. And you all had a whole lot of questions, and I don't think those questions have been answered yet. I know for sure that at the May 4th town board meeting, my questions weren't answered. So now we have this proposed agreement. And I have a couple of questions about it. First of all, it says that there is attached as Exhibit A map of the premises. I don't see any such map. If you all could direct me to where that is, I'd appreciate it. Second, it says that runway 14-32 is an active runway per the FAA. And that runway has to be made available. But looking back, the only maps I have seen are the ones that were submitted by Scramble at the work session. And on those maps, on that runway, right in the middle of the runway, are the food concessions, the registration, and the first aid tents. I don't see how that runway can be made available based on the map that was submitted. It says that parking seems to have changed. I don't know whether that map is still legit. Mr. Rothwell, I'd really like to know if we're still working off that map, because sure doesn't look like there's enough parking. And in this agreement, it mentions shuttles, leasing places for parking. We just have no idea what the parking situation is, and I'm wondering if you all do. And with respect to the traffic plan, the agreement says that it will be implemented by a private company. Well, who is this private company? Has the plan been submitted to the chief? This is one sloppy agreement. I'll tell you, it keeps talking about submitting things to the airport and the airport personnel. To my knowledge, there's no airport there. The CDA is the owner. The town is the owner, not an airport. I don't know what that means. And then my most serious question is, have you received the liability insurance policy? And Mr. Rothwell, can you answer me that right now?
Yeah.
No, I mean, it would go directly to the town attorney's office for him to answer
Do
whether or
you
not
know
it's
if
been
you've
received.
received it?
We're not gonna
Because.
go back and forth. This is
We're
a
not going to go
comment
back
se-
and forth, ma'am. If you want to just finish making your comments.
Let me just say that the agreement says that insurance has to be filed with you all 30 days before the commencement of the term of the agreement. The term of the agreement commences June 17th. which makes yesterday the day that that insurance policy was due. And under your resolution that you passed, 244, if that insurance was not timely filed within 30 days of the event, this permit was supposed to be denied. So I'd really like to know if you have that insurance policy.
Okay, so the town attorney stated that he'll wait for the questions, and that would be a question, because he's the one that would have received it.
Okay.
Great, okay, thank you.
And then I'd also like to know, it says that Scramble has exclusive rights to this property for the 2 days of the drag races. What's happened to Robotics, the other people who lease one of those runways? And then also spectator controlled. I'd really like to know, Mr. Rothwell, if you have received the updated barrier protection that you asked for at that work session. Because on the map that they submitted, there are no barriers between the spectators area, only a fence. And Mr. Baxter said that no spectators would go to the long runway. Well, how are they going to contain those spectators? Who's going to contain them, and where are they going to be sitting? He has said on his website there will be no bleachers, that the spectators can bring in chairs and easy tents. Where are they going to set those up? On the grasslands on either side of the runways? It's totally unclear where all these people are going to be and how they're going to trample on protected areas. So I'd really like to have some answers, but I'd really like to know if that insurance policy was received yesterday. And thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you, Kathy, for your comments.
Okay,
Next
Supervisor,
one.
next we have Mark Hobner.
Okay. From where? He'll have to state, oh, we know he is. He'll state where.
Hi, my name is Mark Hobner, and I'm here as a resident of Aquabog today. Thank you for the town board for their time. And it's shades of early 2019, looking at you all in the same spot. It's very encouraging, guys. Thank you. I have a few questions about safety, which I'd like to present for your consideration. There was no clarity on whether this was a National Hot Rod Association or NHRA sanctioned event or not. One of the purposes of the NHRA and others is to ensure both competitor and spectator safety at an event like this. With cars traveling at what the resolution says, up to 200 miles an hour, the possibilities of serious injury and death increased by a factor of 100 in comparison to crashes at 55 miles per hour. I also noticed that they were going to use concrete barriers, which I'm assuming are the type they use for road construction during lane diversions. These may work well at the starting line, but not anywhere further than that. And my concern is that if a flywheel explodes, that the 30-foot distance for spectators is nowhere near sufficient for their safety. NHRA tracks not just times in trials, but also safe driving records for exhibitors. I'm wondering if the competitors have been vetted for this event. A sanctioned race event also conducts safety checks on all vehicles prior to their first run. I wonder if this practice is going to be conducted at these races. I had a question as to whether we would expect that the exhibitors would be using a trailer to bring the cars to the event, or if barely street legal machines are going to be driven here and would become another job for our law enforcement officers. The resolution also claims that the exhibitors will be running cars with street legal sound suppression or mufflers. And I wondered if we had the capacity to make sure that this was enforced during the races, who would monitor this and enforce the agreement. And finally, the resolution seemed very well crafted to protect the town from any lawsuit with regard to damages and injury. But as with any legal document, we would still have to entertain a challenge should it arise. And I wonder how many hours of court that our $10,000 profit would pay for. The whole event seems like a hastily created plan without amount of thought necessary for the realities of this kind of activity. Thank you.
Okay.
Mark, what did you say when you asked about it being sanctioned? You said NHRA, and what was the other entity that you said?
Well, there are others. It wouldn't be the Sports Car Club of America because it's a different kind of race. There are other sanctioned bodies out there. I don't know them offhand anymore. I used to, but I don't now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next Supervisor, we have Ms. Turcoon.
Mr. Who?
Miss Turcoon.
Oh,
Turchin, sorry, Turchin.
Oh, he's next. Devin.
Hi there.
Hi, how
Are
are
you-
you?
Hi, you're able to hear me? Terrific.
Good.
Sorry, no video today.
No, okay.
My name is Talkie Turchin. I'm with Greater Calverton Civic Association, and I'm speaking on drag racing at EPCAL. So thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'd like to present some facts on Calverton's population. In the 1950s, it's about 1,300 people with about 400 households. And it sharply increased in 1960, or towards 1961, to about 5,600 people in 1,500 households. The trade-off at that time with the EPCAL property was the 3,000 jobs from Grumman. Leaping forward to 2020, population is approximately 6,500 people, with the trade-off presented today with this resolution for drag racing, a mere $10,000. One other fact about the Grumman airplanes that flew at the time, which made considerable noise, the planes never flew on weekends. And their timing that they flew during the week was between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Mr. Rothwell, I'd like to thank you for reaching out to one of our civic members, offering your building as an idea for a place for us to gather for our general meeting. I believe it's in Wading River, and we weren't able to make Wading River work, but I do thank you for that offer. Additionally, would you please reach out to our civic, and especially to the head of town board meetings and work sessions? The civic would like to work with you. And unfortunately, today, regarding drag strip racing and EPCAL, we're more of a speed bump. Our email is gcca1992@gmail.com. You probably already have it, but I'm saying it just so it's said on record. I'd give you my phone number, but then again, it's on record, so I think I'll skip on that. But I'd be glad to phone you later and offer it to you. And of course, I extend this outreach to each of our town board members, Supervisor Aguirre, Mr. Bayrott, Mr. Hubbard, and Ms. Kent. So I'd like to finish off my time by reading collected facts, statements, and questions from residents in Calverton. I'd ask that you consider the following in making your decision to allow such activities. So regarding noise, some experts define noise as simply unwanted sound. But what can be unwanted for one person can be pleasant or even essential sound to another. Consider car stereos, drag races, leaf blowers, loud vehicles, etc. in this context. Decibel level is a very complex measurement. It's not linear in nature. A small increase in decibel level can increase the actual sound heard by the ear dramatically. So consider the level of noise coming from the Hamptons helicopter traffic the residents of the local area are so upset about, and rightly so. It's not necessarily loud or constant, but very annoying to many just the same. When evaluating decibel level, the noise standard in Germany for mentally stressful tasks is set at 55 decibels. Sound does not have to be loud to be unpleasant or unhealthy. So regarding drag racing specifically, I offer the next 8 points, which are question statements and facts. Is drag racing really necessary? Some promoters believe a drag strip will reduce street racing substantially. Is there a large street racing problem in Riverhead? Southold? Southampton? East Hampton? One of the applicants for a motorsports event at EPCAL is from Hempstead, with an office for his event in Long Island City. Yes, there's a critical street racing problem in Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and to a lesser extent Nassau County and parts of Western Suffolk. Is the town, is it the towns of Riverhead's responsibility to solve the street racing problems of points well west of here? And do you think it would? Do you want to actually invite this type of activity and a street racing following and participants to our community? Is that wise and in keeping with the values and priorities most living on the East End come here for? would our police department handle such an influx? I'm sure that you're well aware that the largest national cemetery, Calverton National Cemetery, is located in our Calverton 119 zip code and directly across the street from the proposed event. To both that event and also the other multiple racing events that are not mentioned today so far, but I hear that are poised to arrive.
Supervisor, that's 5 minutes plus.
Okay, 30 seconds, I'll be done.
Go ahead.
Does that sound,
By the way, there's not a 5-minute limit for public hearings.
thank you.
I guess this
This is just a
this
resolution.
is-
This
Right,
is,
okay.
Yep,
I just remembered that.
and we know that, and
May
it's
I?
great. So we'll,
Yep.
get-
May I wrap this up in less than 30 seconds?
I'm okay with it.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So does that seem respectful and a good fit for these drag racing activities at EPCAL? How would drag racing on weekends or any time affect those who enjoy the town's tranquil bike path and that so many residents rave about does not seem to be a good fit? Last point. One of the drag strip applicants battled noise complaints at one of his recently closed tracks in Florida. And another proposed track yet to be opened in West Virginia is on the high ground in sparsely populated area between two abandoned strip mines in impoverished southern Appalachia. I don't believe drag strips should be located in an area as special as ours, where the residents pay north of $10,000 in taxes. They deserve better. The EPCAL site deserves much better also. Thank you for your consideration and your time.
Supervisor, next we'll go to Ms. Blass.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Barbara Blass, and I live in Jamesport. This runway use agreement is a condition of a special permit, which was approved, a special event permit, which was approved on May 4th without a proper, accurate, and adequate seeker review. In February of this year, Mr. Baxter submitted a short environmental assessment form with his Chapter 55 application. At that time, the daily expected attendance was about 250 people, including the competitors, but no spectators. However, during the April 29th work session, the sponsor described an event with an expected attendance by as many as 1,000 spectators, elevating this from a small to a large event, which, as stated on the special event application, necessitates a mass gathering permit and as such can no longer be considered a type 2 action under seeker. The information on paper does not match the parameters of the event. The public has no revised application, no corrected documentation, no appropriate environmental review, and no information to substantiate that this action will have only a negligible impact on the environment. I have to assume that in the past 3 months, someone from the town picked up and read that EAF. Did that person or anyone else from the town advise Mr. Baxter that the information he submitted was grossly inaccurate? He doesn't seem to be aware that there exists a fragile environment just beyond those runways. Of the 20 questions on the short EAF, 8 answers were factually incorrect. The event organizer is not aware that the site is a critical environmental area, is unaware that it is a special groundwater protection area, is unaware of its historical significance or archaeological sensitivity, is unaware that it is within a floodplain and that it has significant remediation history. But of particular concern, however, is that the event sponsor answered no to the presence of protected wetlands and the presence of threatened and endangered species associated habitats on the site. The adjacent grasslands, as you know, are characterized by the New York State DEC as comprising the largest contiguous grassland habitat on Long Island and one of the most significant in the state. In all fairness, I wouldn't expect the applicant to know this, but you should know this by now. You're the stewards of that property. As lead agency, you're the responsible party, but you don't seem to be doing the necessary work. Were those environmental issues not important enough to discuss with the applicant during the work session? The irony here is that the DEC is requiring that you submit an approvable habitat protection plan before they approve your subdivision, or as your special counsel refers to it as, before drawing lines on a map. The DEC also has ongoing concerns about the use of the runways, asking the town to acknowledge protocols in the event of a petroleum spill. Your approval of this type of event in these environs does not inspire confidence in your ability or commitment to protect this ecosystem and our drinking water. This is another example of skipping the details, ignoring the facts, disregarding the process, and approving a project with an inadequate and inaccurate environmental review. I do not support the use of the runway for this event at this time and oppose CDA Resolution 2021-5. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Okay, Supervisor, next we have John McAuliffe. Mr. McAuliffe, can you hear us? We cannot hear you.
You have your mic off, John.
Got it, got
There
it.
you go.
All right, I think we're okay now. Thank you very much. It will be a blessing to be able to have these dialogues in person rather than through the technology. So you know me as a resident of Rolling Woods in Riverhead. I want to raise some broader questions about the application and both the special events application and the short one. I think there are questions about this whole thing that go to the due diligence and good governance role of the town board. I frankly cannot believe that anybody on the board read these documents, or the questions that have been raised earlier would have already been addressed and resolved. But I would like to know how the application was vetted. If you didn't read it, did somebody on the staff of the town read it? And as was just asked, were the inconsistencies brought to the attention of the applicant at a time that he could have fixed them? The applicant, I noted that the town attorney said that in the work session that he needed to find out what their experience was. And I don't know if he got an answer, whether he was able to do that due diligence, but just looking at the paperwork, this company was formed in December of 2020. It has done nothing in this line. In the application, the special events application, Mr. Baxter, who may be a decent and admirable person, identifies himself as president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer, which to me is an unusual corporate structure. He also describes himself as a person residing in Suffolk County, with the location being Hempstead, which of course is not in Suffolk County. So again, whether anybody bothered to look at this paperwork and raise questions about what is really there, there is no, if you look on their website, or if you remember that video he showed, which was very amateurish and had nothing to do with safety, it was a promo video that he showed you at the work session. That should have been a red flag right there. But if you look at their website now, the only event that is confirmed is Riverhead. They have a half a dozen others listed, but they're not, there's no reason to think that they are real. I trust that you will have the $10,000 in advance if you go ahead with this, but the question is what happens with all of the post-event charges, what the actual controls will be to assure that only the 1,000, presumably when they say they're sold out, that means they've sold 1,000 tickets. What happens with another 1,000 people come and just try to come on to the fairly open area? Let me see what, already it's been raised, the fact that in this contract between you and the applicant, it explicitly says that the runway will be available, and it obviously is not going to be available. So I think that needs to get straightened out. Mr. Baxter did refer to 30 years of cumulative experience. I think you needed to ask specifically what that experience was and how many people is that divided among. It's a very wishy-washy statistic that means nothing. So I think what you need to do is obviously vote down or suspend this resolution. But I think you need to rescind the approval. Now, that's going to be a problem for him, because if he's really sold 1,000 tickets and 400 competitors' seats, but it's not the first time this has happened where a project has gone forward and then it has been rescinded, and I think it has to be rescinded based on the inadequacy of the paperwork provided. I also think that this is a major warning about the other 5 or 6 event plan that was referred to earlier that
Supervisor, that's 5 minutes.
Okay, that you need to really consult with the town and particularly with the people who are in the residential area if you're going to be responsible to the people who elect you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. McAuliffe, thank you. Next, Supervisor, we have John Turner. Mr. Turner, can you hear us?
Okay. Here he is. Yep. No, I don't see the mic, right? Yeah.
Mr. Turner, if you can hit *6 to unmute yourself.
There you go.
Hi, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Supervisor Aguiar and members of the board. I'm sorry for that glitch. I'm not quite sure what happened.
It's okay.
For the record, my name is John Turner, and I serve as a conservation policy advocate for the Seatuck Environmental Association, which is an island-wide wildlife conservation organization, and is a member of the EPCAL Watch Coalition. And I want to just cover a couple of different issues. I don't want to belabor too much, as you already heard from Phil, and particularly from Barbara Blass, about the what we believe are very significant inadequacies in the environmental review, most notably the deficiencies and inaccuracies in the environmental assessment form. I just want to add that I fully understand, having been at one time the director of DEP for the town of Brookhaven and reviewed hundreds of applications, went through SECRA hundreds of times, that I would often see material submitted to the town that was perhaps not as legally sufficient as it should be in terms of its environmental impacts, but it's really the diligence of the town professional staff to ensure that it be reviewed. And I guess I wanted to say I'm concerned about this proposal getting as far as long as it did with regard to an EAF that is so deficient in terms of delineating for your consideration the impacts of the project. So I just want to go on record again saying that we're really concerned about the adequacy of the EAF, and also wonder about then the proper secret classification for this project. I do want to just quickly address is that you may have seen it covered on TV last night. I happened to be interviewed by News 12, and I saw the other individuals that were interviewed, including one councilman. and I think the applicant was also interviewed, and the sense that this project or this proposal is simply going to be restricted to the, the hardened runways and the tarmac, if you will, of the property. But in fact, from the information I've seen, that's not the case, that we're talking about parking and some other infrastructure that would be in the grasslands adjacent to the runways. And I want to make the point to you that the grasslands at Calverton, which you've already heard, are really of statewide significance for a variety of grassland-dependent bird species. And to make the point that Calverton, I know some of you have heard this, but that it is the most environmentally significant large remaining property, with the possible exception, I would say, of Gardner's Island, that remains on Long Island. You have an ecological treasure trove. You have an environmental gift and asset that we really hope that you will be stewards of for the benefit of the residents and a benefit of the wildlife and the environment that occurs there. There's no reason why we have to have kind of this standoff or this opposition to these kind of proposals. I personally, as a member, think that you might be able to accommodate this activity of drag racing, but it's the worst possible time of year to conduct this. It's in the middle of the bird nesting season. If there had been a more inclusive process where the town, working with EPCAL Watch members as well as with the applicant, sit down, we'd be able to talk the issue through and maybe come up with something else. And on a larger scale, the same thing goes for the entire property. And so we really hope that you do move forward with a more inclusive process. You've got a lot of expertise among the members of the EPCAL Watch Coalition. I've worked with them, a wonderful group of people, very talented, that really want to see this great environmental asset. Call it the Central Park or Riverhead, if you will, but it is a remarkable property that you have that can be utilized for economic activity, but at the same time also be very, very significantly preserved for the natural resources that occur there, the park, the ponds, the woodlands, the fields, and so forth. So that's really wanted to say is that you have a great asset there. This is a bad proposal. It's not been fully vetted accurately, and that for you to please take the time to rescind the approval, and let's start from scratch and see if we can't work out something for later in the year or some other aspect to this, all working together that we all could feel comfortable and good moving forward with. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor, next we have George Goodmanson.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is George Gudmundson. I live in the hamlet of Calverton, specifically Timber Park, which is directly across the street from EPCAL and about half a mile as the crow flies from the runway, at least one of the runways, where this ill-advised drag racing is supposed to take place. Thank you for letting me have my say on this. That said, I cannot believe that you members of the board have approved multiple drag racing events. I want to compliment all the speakers that have gone before me, but even if all of these technical and very important environmental issues were dealt with, I'm here to tell you that I think that the board has made a terrible mistake in approving this, and I think you should withdraw it and put it back away and not deal with it again. Because these drag races, and I've had experience with drag races. I lived in Freeport by the Freeport Drag Raceway, and I also used to live by Riverhead Raceway, which I wonder why these racing enthusiasts don't go and patronize. It's about 4 miles away. I can hear the Riverhead Raceway, but that's okay. You know, I can just hear it in the distance. But this is going to have a terrible negative effect on the Timber Park residents. It's as if you folks just told us to drop dead. There's some thought. I know that there's a few racing enthusiasts that live in Calverton, maybe in Timber Park. But the reason why there are none of these left on Long Island is because they were such terrible neighbors to start with. They bring noise, and more noise, ear-deafening noise. I moved away. I lived in a residential community by Riverhead Raceway. I moved away from there. The raceway was there before the residential communities. I get that. But I moved away, and now you folks are injecting this into the residents, the tax-paying residents, who, if this gains steam, will not be able to use their backyards for barbecues, graduations, just rest and repose and watching the wildlife because of the ear-deafening noise. And I can't believe I heard 12-hour days, day and night. Beside that, the negative, it's obviously so sloppy the way that this application was submitted, and nobody even seems to be asking about it. What about the negative impact on taxpayers? Yeah, I heard this guy is going to pay for all the costs. Exactly how? Who's going to pay the police overtime? Okay? And in the middle of the summer, I know that there's going to be police overtime for this, or traffic agent overtime, and if you don't police it, tremendous liability for the town of Riverhead. Who's going to pay for the emergency medical personnel? Is that going to be, someone mentioned Manor Hill, the Manor Hill Fire Department. That's not my district, but if I lived there, I wouldn't want my taxes raised or to have costs going to them, their costs going up. Many times these volunteer fire departments have to pay people to augment and staff up, particularly in the summertime. Lawsuits against the town. Did I hear somebody say 200 miles an hour? What if somebody loses a limb in this dangerous sport? Do you think they're not going to sue the town of Riverhead because somebody said they're going to handle that? What about the impact on this wonderful pedestrian bike trail that we've talked about? Is there control that they're going to have for the time that you've signed this agreement over? Are we going to shut the trail down? This is the busiest time of the year for families, children. I see them all the time there, enjoying the beautiful wildlife. Are we going to close it like we do in January? Are we going to close it, or are we going to have somebody stopping and directing traffic? Who will that be? Riverhead Police or somebody not qualified? If it's Riverhead Police, who's going to pay the overtime? And finally, and not last but not least, the sacred ground directly across the street, Calverton National Cemetery. There are memorials that are taking place on Saturday. And besides the memorials taking place on Saturday, on Sundays, there are many people, loved ones of the military men and women going to visit, have moments of reflection, perhaps praying. Are they going to be bothered by the cacophony, by the ear-splitting noise of roaring engines and screeching brakes? Has anybody, and I have to say this, and I don't need to pick on anybody.
Sir, that's been 5 minutes, Supervisor,
Okay.
just to let you know.
All right, you got my point. Thank
Okay.
you for letting me speak.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So next we have Eli Dickerson.
Okay. Eli, you gotta unmute yourself right here, left-hand side.
Doing it, did it already. Hi, can you hear me now?
Now we can, yes.
Oh, great.
Good.
I'm glad to be able to see you all. Too bad you can't see me. It's a good thing probably because this has been a very seriously tear-jerking afternoon listening to everything that I heard, and I hope I'm probably the final speaker. Came in on this pretty late. and looked at both the application, looked at all the other paperwork that was submitted, and I can't believe, like some of your other speakers have said, that no one somewhere missed all of these steps that are necessary to complete this application. I want almost to re-term it and call it the special event inadequate, incomplete drag racing at EPCAL application rodeo style. And I say rodeo, not rodeo. But yes, and to the final speaker before me, the gentleman who just spoke, you brought tears to my eyes because I'm often at Calverton, and that is one of our most sacred grounds in this country. So if we were to then bring up the level there to this fraction of drag racing, I don't know how Riverhead could live that down. And for $10,000 for children going to attend this event, I don't know if anybody has ever been to a drag racing event. I tell you, I did do some editing for a person who sponsored these events, and they're not simple. And National Hot Rod Association will have many, many different comments to make on this if they were to be brought in on it. I really don't have much more to say because everyone before me has said everything possible. The one final or two final things are fencing. I saw fencing on the map just at the start and at the finish. Things have fencing throughout. The next item is an environmental statement of some sort should be done, probably. It doesn't have to be a full one. It could be a preliminary just to make sure that people are surrounding this area are protected from the noise that comes from this type of an event. And then what about security? What about an out-of-control car or out-of-control people? How would you get the emergency systems there? You can't just fly in a helicopter or Tomahawk in a minute or two. It will not happen that fast. Take my word for it. Next, quickly, is do we have a public address system? And nobody mentioned that. And maybe we should have more than one or two speakers somewhere around so that people are notified about where the emergencies are taking place. And then, of course, we need to have rehearsals and drills. Somewhere along the line before this event, if it ever does take place, should be held some kind of a rehearsal about it, a briefing session, etc. And we should all be invited if we are able to attend. But please, let us invoke the Town Code 255-13. You all know what it is, 255-13, the rescission of this application/permit. I give it a nice, good title. Thank you so much, and good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Supervisor. So we have Donna Cool.
Okay. She's got to unmute herself.
It's cool if you could unmute.
Left hand bottom,
How's that?
better. Great.
Okay, terrific. First of all, as you can tell by the lowness of my voice, this isn't Donna, this is her husband, Stephen, but she's letting me use her computer, so thank you.
Oh, okay. Thanks for
Good,
clarifying that.
Good
I wouldn't
afternoon
know
to the-
otherwise from not hearing your voice.
What's that?
Thanks for clarifying it. Go ahead.
Yes, you're welcome. First of all, congratulations to the town board for what's happening downtown with the project. That's some very, very good news. That's a positive step forward to the town.
Sure is.
Very glad to hear it. As compared to the application for a drag race in Calverton, which I think, as is surmised by every single speaker before me, between comments and questions, that it should be an open and shut case that the drag race is absolutely not a step forward. In fact, quite a step backward for this town. This kind of an event has come up many, many times before in front of various Riverhead town boards over the years. We've had concerts that were supposed to happen. We've had stock car races and drag races and all kinds of things like it that have been beaten back because we were wiser then. This is a big mistake for every single reason that the previous speakers have mentioned. And as a board, we all have a lot of confidence in the decisions that you make for the well-being and the betterment of our town. We love this town, and your decisions impact it greatly. This one needs a review, and as was suggested, probably get out of this resolution as quickly as possible. Just on a very personal note, one of the benefits of going so late in the speaking is that everyone's covered the things that I'd like to speak about. So I could just reiterate every one of them that was mentioned before. Myself and my wife have both buried both our parents in Calverton National. The only thing you heard other than the words of the chaplain, or maybe the 21-gun salute, was the sounds of the birds chirping in the background, or the people sniffling with their tissues. That's not going to be the case with fuel dragsters going up and down those runways. I was a fan of drag racing for many years. I've been to Englishtown, New Jersey. I've been to Islip. I've been out in Bridgehampton when it was that kind of racing. I loved it when I was a kid. You know what? That's when I was a kid. Now, I'm sitting outside at my home in Timber Park. I hear birds, I hear woodpeckers, maybe I hear a squirrel running around. That's why I moved here. It's not up to you as a town board to change that. And I'm not speaking just for me. You've heard a lot of speakers before me. There are over 125 families here in Timber Park. They're not all pro racing, believe me. And that's not even to mention K Road, Calverton Manor, Riley Avenue, Oak Hills, Wading River, Manorville. Do I need to continue? It's 6 miles from Riverhead Raceway. I can barely hear what's going on in my yard thanks to that, but you know what? They were here first. I have to get used to that. EPCAL and the proposition for drag racing on it came after my 35 years of living here. Please don't mess with that. I want to thank you all for your time, and let's get rid of this bad idea as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gill.
Very well.
Supervisor, that concludes the public comments on the CDA resolution before you today.
Okay, does, Kaz, you wanted to respond to the comments?
Yeah, there were a lot, so I'm going to
That's
try
right.
to do them in no particular order.
Okay.
With regard to insurance, we have received a certificate of insurance from the applicant.
Okay.
I believe it was received Tuesday or Monday, so that was filed by the applicant.
Bob, is that the standard insurance? Would that be like the
It's
same
what we asked
insurance
for
that
as
the
part of
Country
our-
Fair would do, or?
It's in conformance with our Chapter 255. It's the same amounts. So if we want more, then we should be asking for that. On the question of the application, as the speakers have pointed out, the application did indicate 150 people, but however, it also indicated on the application that in the event the COVID restrictions would be lifted, the applicant would consider allowing spectators to attend the event. Under our code 255-9, a small gathering event is one that can allow up to 1,000 people per day. So that would not change. I know there's one speaker that suggested that because of the amount that was being anticipated here, the small event gathering approval converts into a large gathering special event, but that's not accurate. The code's under 255-9 would still consider it a small event. In the agreement, one speaker pointed out that there were some inconsistencies. There was use of the word airport. Yes, that absolutely should be CDA throughout. and that will need to be corrected in a final document. So I know there was some comment about airport and airport personnel, airport directors, airport managers. That should not be in that agreement. The diagram for the event would be the diagram that's been filed for the Chapter 255. The agreement is going to require that there be mufflers, so I know one speaker questioned that. I can't speak to who's going to get under each car to make sure that they have mufflers, but I know that the proposal would require them to enter into a tech shop where the cars would be inspected by individual with experience to know that the cars have the safety equipment in place and are sufficient to enter onto the runways and proceed. My understanding, and I'm not sure where, because anything I've seen, they were proposing only use of the hard surfaces, the tie-down areas and the runways and the taxiways. So I have been under the understanding, and in all the discussions with Mr. Baxter of Scramble, that there is no intention to use any of the grassland portions of the property. Helmets will be required as per the prior discussions with the town board. I know that the fire marshal did share his comments. Those were delivered to the applicant. A copy was delivered to me, and I can certainly provide that to the speakers if they wish to have it. I think they're already on file. They were sent to the applicant, so there's no reason why they wouldn't be available through FOIL. His comments and his questions. EMS has been contacted. I don't know if EMS has been lined up yet. Manorville Fire Department's been contacted. I don't know if the fire department's been lined up yet. My understanding is they are going to have EMS on site all time, and they're going to have the fire district on site all times. But those things have not been ironed out yet. So if that's a cause for the board to say, listen, we want to hold off a bit, we'll need to revisit the 255, because I believe we put in a timetable in that in order for all the agreements to be buttoned up. But I know that there's some things that are being worked on. I know this. I don't want to speak for the police chief, but I do know that I've spoken with the chief fire marshal, and he did issue his comments to Mr. Baxter and Scramble this week, and he did raise items of concern that he wants to see addressed before the event could take off.
Bob, can we get copies of that?
Sure.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Also, Bob,
I don't think typically we share
Right.
fire marshal observations with the town board, but if the board wants to see them on all 255s, I'll try to make a footnote of that and do that in the future. I don't think we have ever done that, but.
Right.
Okay.
But the nature of this event is different, and just talking about the insurance, you know, the insurance that we have for this, that we're requiring for this event, compare that to another 255 that we might have.
It's the same insurance. It's what we require on 255.
So like for a fair, as opposed to this, it seems
Correct.
like an event like this would require more insurance.
Nobody raised that before, so I certainly can go back to them and say that we're looking for more insurance.
I thought he had to have insurance through the, he had to have insurance through the racing.
That was Mr. Scalzo.
Oh, okay. And the other thing I wanted to ask, this is the first time I'm hearing of 200-mile-an-hour speeds. I don't remember hearing about that at all.
It was never brought up.
Is that true? Is it
Yeah,
possible?
it's something that they were seeking. Again, the board could ask them to agree to an agreement where it's a lesser speed.
These are street cars though, right, Bob?
The street cars with mufflers.
These are, well, I guess there's, you know, streetcars is such a slippery item to address, because if you look at some of the newer cars that are being put on our street, like a Demon or a Mustang, the Hennessy cars, which are, you know, aftermarkets, where they'll take a Camaro, a Chevrolet Camaro, and then they'll soup it up to 1,000 horsepower. They have mufflers. They have all the equipment and things that you would expect to have in an everyday car that you drive around with. But because of the turbos or superchargers that are put into these cars, they're producing 850, 1,000, sometimes more horsepower. So these cars would, or possibly could be out at that runway. Anything that's over 150 miles an hour will require a roll cage and other safety equipment, including a driver wearing a fire safety suit. So if these are anything that the board has really concerns about, reservations, then maybe the right thing to do would be to table this today and ask these questions of Mr. Baxter again to fully vet this.
As part of the 255 event application, all of the different departments in the town had to review it. And are they satisfied with the answers? Because it seems like...
Fire marshal is still looking for further answers. Again, I don't want to speak for the chief. The chief may want to come up and...
Yeah, Chief, maybe, are you satisfied with what you've heard so far through the application process?
We're still in the review process, so we're in touch with the promoter. Try to get some answers. Chief, we can't hear you.
Come to the mic, please.
So it's still under review with us, and we have reached out to the promoter, and we have some questions, and we're still waiting for some answers.
Well,
Questions and concerns?
Questions and concerns, yes.
one concern obviously would be if he's talking 150 people and he's sold out of tickets, how many tickets did he sell?
I think it's up from 150 now, is my understanding.
He reported that he sold 1,000 tickets.
Right.
And I'm hearing in the community that he sold out 1,000 tickets, but I didn't get it confirmed. You did.
Yes, I
Yeah,
spoke to him, he said he
I
sold
heard
1,000 tickets.
400 on the car section, and then another 500 spectators or something like that.
It's 1,000 spectators, it's also listed in the resolution here, it's 1,000 tickets for spectators and 400 cars is the maximum registration.
For one day?
Is it
It
a
would be a-
1,000
2 days, right?
spectators or 1,000 cars
The-
coming in?
The
1,000
proposed
spectator
agreement,
Tickets.
can I just interject on that? The proposed agreement, and this is again going to be an enforcement question. The proposed agreement provides that the public attendance, and public attendance is defined as spectators and participants, will be 1,000 over the 2 days. Not 1,000 per day.
That's what's listed in the resolution.
Okay, I don't have my,
So he sold 500 tickets per day. Is that clear? That's not clear.
well, he's got the resolution here.
I don't know what
I
he
don't
sold.
have the answer
Tickets
to
sold
that,
to the
Tim,
public,
so-
spectators and races to 1,000 tickets for the 2-day event. So could it be 800 one day and 200 or 5
I think
and
we
5?
need to know, these are things we need to know.
But, I mean, so even for 1,000
Yeah,
1,000
my
spectators and if 3 people were in a car, you're talking about parking 300 cars, which is, it's a pretty vast area there.
Right, but he's parking them only off the taxiway by the
I
Wellbridge facility.
personally reached out to him myself, just because I had concerns, and so he is only staying on paved areas. And so we're only talking about the asphalt area and the concrete runways. He has, he's even agreed as of this morning, he said that he wants to put up, and he's spending another $16,000 on any additional fencing, and so make sure that no one is walking across any grasslands, cutting across the area to make sure that the public is very much steered in a particular area. I did also reach out to the DEC just to see how we were doing with any wildlife concerns and so forth, and so I spoke to our local representative, and he said, as long as you're staying on the asphalt and the concrete runways itself, should not interfere with any nesting concerns and so forth. And we also sent them over a review of the plan as well, just so that he can review it. So if he had any questions or concerns or anything that Rob Marsh thought we should add, to make sure that we're protecting everything, that would be, that we could address it.
So let me check. The cars are being parked on runways, like the parking is on runways?
On the tarmac area.
That'd be the
That's my
taxiways would be
understanding,
alongside,
yes.
So
so
they're
runway,
parking-
you go 10,000 feet, and then there's another road that comes all the way back is the taxiway.
And then where they talked about people with chairs, where are the people sitting with their chairs?
Presumably, somebody could sit on any of the taxiways, the secondary run,
So
areas.
the
and
people
turnarounds.
are also sitting on pavement?
There's a
Yes.
concrete
There is
area.
no one on any grasslands
There's a
permitted.
concrete area off
Yeah, everyone
one of
goes
the
to that.
taxiway, off the taxiway, that supposedly all the parking and spectator viewing is going to occur there, is what I'm being told.
But
If you look at a map, you can see the area, it's just north of Wellbridge.
Bob, are all those details ironed out? Are those details in the paperwork so that we know that for sure?
The 255 depicts that.
Bob, the fire marshal has not signed off on this, correct? You said he's
No.
still waiting on answers?
That's correct.
Then I can't vote for this today without answers from the fire
There's
marshal.
just there's a lot
That's
of
not
details
appropriate.
here. A few more questions, Bob. Now, we are requiring, or Ken, or you guys who worked on it, we are requiring mufflers,
Yes.
but there's not someone going to be out there monitoring the noise?
They have an inspection station, from what he stated. That was during his presentation, that each car would go through an inspection station prior to.
Yeah,
Is
I think it's
that-
called spec.
Are those details written into the contract, or are those
The-
details written into the application, or whatever?
What details? The
That
details
they have
about
to
the...
have someone there monitoring the noise. I think I had asked about this at the work session.
I think I have a catch-all that they have to adhere to and comply with all laws and permits. So
said he
I
would-
do have a catch-all in there.
Is this within our town noise ordinance?
It would be, other than the fact that we do have a raceway ordinance, but I don't consider this the same as the raceway, although Mr. Scalzo mentioned that, because certainly there's somebody in the room who might be able to remember better than I the whole thing with the Riverhead Raceway and the way that particular code got adopted, but that was sort of designed with the Riverhead Raceway in mind.
I had also asked at the work session about having someone inspect the runways. Did someone go out and inspect the
My
runway?
understanding is the fire marshal was out there, yes.
But the town
Yes,
engineers?
excuse me?
Who will be signing off on the runways that they're safe? Because I have been told the runways are in bad shape.
Well, the agreement is going to, have general language that says they're taking it at their risk and they're assuming the risk. There's not going to be any representation as to its suitability. That's going to be standard language in there. As far as bad shape, it's a very generic statement. Bad shape in that it's heaved or otherwise. I mean, the concrete, due to its thickness, is pretty solid and flat. There are trees that are starting to form on the edges of the runways. If anyone has taken a ride out there recently, you'll see that there's some succession growth that's starting to pop up along the sides of the 7,000-foot runway, because we chose years ago no longer to cut the grasslands, which we know about already. So there are some trees that are starting to make their way along the edges. If the board wants to do a site visit, maybe that's something we should think about, so we all see it for our own eyes.
Right, and
Both
our
the 7,000 and the 10,000.
Our engineers are here. I don't know whether they'd be willing to come up and address the nature of the runways out there.
Well, I know we were on the runways over the weekend.
I
on an
walked it.
event, And we walked it, they're in pretty good shape.
But I wanted to ask our town
However,
engineers.
it's good to have the town engineers, but you could hear to fellow council members that they are in good shape. But we can, Drew?
Drew, can you answer to the
You wanna
nature,
come up,
the
Drew?
shape of the runways out there? Aren't you glad you happen to be in the audience today?
Good afternoon, Drew. Oh, late afternoon, getting late.
Almost good evening.
Almost good evening, yeah.
Good afternoon, Town Council members.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
With regard to the condition of the runways, I myself have driven on the western runway at approximately 160 miles an hour and didn't have any problems whatsoever. Now, again, that's
That's
one
your own
time.
personal vehicle, right?
Not a
That's all I'm gonna say.
I think you said too much already, Drew.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, so that was,
Attorney with you, Drew?
that was the western runway.
He was
We-
advised not to say that.
The eastern runway is active, so therefore should be no driving on it. But the western runway, from what I've seen, we're also going to do some crack sealing on the south end I'm sorry, that would be, Line Road. So no, we had no plans for any improvements to the taxiways or to the runways themselves, but I think if there's this much concern about the condition of the runways, it might be prudent to have an expert in structural and particularly in aircraft come out and look at the runway, if there's that much of a concern about it.
Well, they're not gonna be flying aircraft.
Yeah, they're not flying. They were talking about.
They've got cars that are gonna be going 200 miles an hour, though.
And that was the first we heard of the 200. Thank you, Drew.
Okay, you're welcome.
But we could also, we can have the applicant.
If I could be heard just quickly on the 200-mile-an-hour issue, because I do want to respond to that.
Okay, go ahead.
These events, because this event is including a half-mile run.
Yeah.
In looking at various events that have been done around the country where there's a half-mile run, they will go faster than 200 miles an hour. So that was the reason to limit them to that speed. It can be limited further, but I think that, but that was the concept. It was thrown out there, it was something for the board to consider. It's in the agreement, but given the fact that this is a longer run than what you would typically see, I know there's been discussion about NHRA. This is not an NHRA sanctioned event. The NHRA has nothing to do with this event. They are not associated with it. They're not conducting any oversight. Typically, an NHRA event, as what we've seen, Englishtown, I think was mentioned, in places like that, it's a quarter-mile run. And the reason for that is because it's, quick acceleration, you're over with your race fairly quickly. The half-mile run gives people a little bit more time to build up speed. And again, if that's a concern, that's something that the board may want to address and say, listen, we don't want a half-mile run. So there's a lot of things here that have come up that I'm hearing some concerns being raised. Maybe there's a lot of questions, especially in light of what the speakers have said today, that this board will want to jot down and see if we can get some specific answers to.
I'm wondering if we can vote on the resolution contingent to the fire marshal and the
runway inspection
and the police chiefs satisfaction of their notes.
Diane, can we get your guidance on that?
But I'd like to, I have a couple more questions, and then I'd like to.
No, she's going to answer her question, and then you can answer it. He's got a question, and then you can go. He's got a question if you can vote on the resolution with conditions, such as the fire marshal.
I would like to just chime. I think it's more a question for me.
Okay, Bob.
I think the answer is you could, but I think that given all the issues and concerns raised here, it would be advisable to defer. And then if we have to revisit the 255 approval, because I think the 255 approval, and I don't have it right in front of me, I think has some specific drop-dead dates for this agreement to be signed. And I think if we don't take, and the reason this agreement's on today's agenda is because the anticipation was trying to adhere to the prior approval, the 255 that was granted on May 4th. If my recollection is, it required this agreement to be in place, fully signed by June 1st. And we have another meeting on June 1st, but if we vote on it that day, that doesn't mean it's going to be fully signed in place. So it may require the board to reconsider an amendment to the 255. And of course, now we're really starting to pinch on time because this event is proposed for the 19th and 20th of June.
So Bob, one other question I had. There are other leases on the runway, correct? We've got Launcher and Robotics.
We have license agreements.
Yes.
For the runway, we have
Well,
Launcher out there.
Launcher's not on the runway. Launcher is not on the runway. Launcher is in the taxi tie-down area. Launcher
In
does not.
proximity, but they're in proximity to the runway.
They are a considerable distance from the runway. If a car goes to the launcher, they've seriously gone off course. But the ULC, they're there, again, that they have a license for that 50-foot box, which is in the taxiway, with the understanding that they're using the airspace above the 7,000-foot runway. They do not use the 7,000-foot runway. And other than the 50 by 50-foot box in the taxiway, that's what their license gives them entitlement to.
So my thinking on this whole thing is, you know, this is something that our community's been asking about a long time. And certainly if you have something like this, you want it to be successful, but there are a lot of details, and I'm hearing from you, Bob, there are a lot of things that haven't been ironed out yet and a lot of details that need to be ironed out. So in the matter of safety, whether you support this or not, it seems like some details need to be ironed out first. And then could a special town board meeting be called if there was a matter of timing?
If the board agrees, sure.
If you're saying
Sure.
that June 1st is, cuts and
The
close.
chapter 54 that this board voted on at May 4th meeting required this agreement for the use of the runway to be in place and fully signed by June 1st. I believe that's the date. Again, I'm running a little bit from memory. I don't have that resolution in front of me, but my recollection is that was the timing of it. And of course, there are still those EAF questions that have come up from the speakers. And some of those things are correct, but those, there were certain obvious things, because when he spoke about the 2,900 acres, he's not looking to utilize the entire 2,900 acres. I think that was fairly and clearly understood almost at the outset, that that's not what the
Okay.
plan is. So
Bob, did the secret change?
the secret,
No longer a type 2?
It's still type 2, it's still small, the short form, because it's a small gathering. Again, under your code, the town code provisions that are adopted, under special events, it would still qualify as a small gathering. Small gathering allows up to 1,000 people per day. So whether it's 150 or 1,000, it is a difference. There's clearly a difference in the nature of the application. It would still fall within that category of a special event that's a small gathering.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'd like to make a motion that we table this.
Okay, we need a second? Who's gonna second it?
I'll second the table.
Motion
Okay,
to table, Hubbard, seconded by Kent.
yes.
Bayrat,
To table?
to table.
Do we,
No,
Go
all you need
discussion
is a
first?
second. You need,
No, you vote, we vote on it.
no,
no,
you
this-
vote on the tabling.
Right, yeah.
Right,
That's
and not
what
on
we're
the.
voting on.
Yes.
Okay,
That's
that's
what
what
we're
we're
voting
showing.
on.
Okay.
do we have discussion before our vote for the table? Just,
You can.
You can.
I'm just,
Yeah,
You can just
absolutely.
discuss.
I just
Go ahead.
want, I just know that, the event, coordination, that they've gone out, if he has in fact sold tickets and he has done different things in an effort to assist anybody that has a business transaction here in Riverhead. I don't want to be detrimental to anybody, so if, I'm all for taking the time to review and things like that, but I just hope that everyone here then would be open that if we do need to have a special town board meeting, and we do need to, to make sure that we stay within his confines and our commitment to them. I'd hope that everyone would consider that, so if we have to regroup to have a vote or something,
Right.
that by tabling it, it's
Sure.
not detrimental to the event holder.
I don't have a
Proper.
yeah,
I'm
and
saying
I
it
don't
right.
have a problem with having a special meeting for it. And I think our town attorney is even recommending that we iron out, and I think you would agree, there's still some things to be ironed out. So, yeah, I don't think that we're looking to put the brakes on everything. I think we're looking to make sure that we get it right, for everybody's sake. For Mr. Baxter's sake, too.
Okay, so can we take the vote?
Rothwell,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Bayrat,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes, to table.
Aguirre.
Yes, to table.
Okay. Motion tabled. Now we need a motion to
Close the CDA.
Close the
close,
CDA.
yes.
Did you want something,
Okay,
Chief?
Oh, you go to open comments from the public first, Joe,
Yep.
on any other CDA issue.
All right, Joe, thank you for calling the vote. And then we're gonna open it up to, thank you, Tim, for open comments on any other matter. And do we have, Chip, anybody on Zoom?
No one
Just
else.
for the CDA.
Yes.
The chief wants to say
The chief, can
something.
you come forward then? Yes. Welcome back.
Thanks. I just want to remind everyone, those runways are closed to the public. No one is
No
permitted up there without the board approval.
Right.
Okay?
You need to have a word
It's
with our
posted,
town
no
engineer.
trespassing, so if I catch you up there, I'm gonna get you.
I'll confirm that. Anytime I have anybody who wants to come out and do a site visit as a filming crew, I make sure I repeatedly call the police department and specify what car is going to be out there, what plate, and at what time, so that there's no issues with that person being cited for trespassing.
Okay, thank you. I think everybody's done, right? All right, so we're gonna move on to public comments on any other. You said there was no one?
We apparently do have.
Oh, you do have, okay.
Yeah, we do have comments,
Okay.
open comments, CDA matters.
On CDA matters,
We do.
sure.
John
Bring them
McAuliffe.
forward, Chip, please.
We can't hear you, Mr. McAuliffe.
Going back to way long time ago at the beginning of the meeting, in terms of the meeting with the principals, I think principals includes the actual Germazian family and probably Daniel Preston, since he's 25% of this deal. It does not mean the attorney and their hired staff person who showed up at a previous meeting. So the second question I have is in terms of it being at a work session. Work sessions don't allow for the public to inject questions as we did during the Q&E. And I don't know if there's a way you can include in the work session an opportunity for questions from the public. Obviously, EPCAL Watch has a profound interest in the specifics of what is being discussed and what they're capable of doing. So I was actually a little surprised. I thought you were going to call them for a board meeting, not for a work session. But if it's a work session, if there's some way you can amend it so there's public engagement. The last thing I want to say is Bob did not discuss the question of vetting this applicant. This very odd corporate structure and very new corporate identity, and the question of their actual experience and whether they're bringing to the table somebody that you can have confidence in, both for the technology side or the event organization side, and for any financial liabilities afterwards.
Okay. Next comment?
Okay, next we have Kathy McGraw.
Okay.
Oh, she left the room? Okay.
Okay.
It's nice not to be wearing masks.
This is Kathy McGraw from Northville. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. A couple of questions. I'm a little concerned that some of the board members didn't know about the 200 miles per hour because it's in the agreement. And the agreement is what you all were going to adopt in this resolution. And I sure hope the town board members read the agreements before they vote to approve resolutions. The engineer mentioned that there would be no racing on the long runway. Well, the plan calls for racing on the long runway. And I think Mr. Kozakevich said that this was a type 1 SECRA. Resolution 244 says it's a type 2 SECRA. I think that there needs to be a little more attention to details.
We can't hear you, Kathy.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I think there needs to be a little more attention to details since the resolution says it was a type 2 SECRA. And also we still have the problem that robotics has a use, even if it's 50 feet of that runway. Your agreement says that Scramble has exclusive use of those 2 runways for those 2 days. There's just an awful lot that's not right here. And I really thank you for tabling this resolution because it requires a lot more study, and I appreciate your doing that. Thank you.
Okay, great. You're welcome. And now we're gonna move on forward to,
We next have Barbara Blass.
okay. Barbara Glass is returning on open comments. Okay,
Yes, can you hear me?
yes, we can, Barbara.
Terrific. Thank you very much for allowing me to make an additional comment. The type 2 section that was cited in your resolution says this exactly: minor temporary use of land having negligible or no permanent impact on the environment. That's the section under which you gave it a type 2. And I don't believe there has been any substantiation or any support to defend that classification. And secondly, with the, on the matter of it being a large event, I do want to bring your attention to the special events section 255-9C2. It says your application, and if you are returning to speak with Mr. Baxter again, perhaps he could provide this. The expected number of persons intended to use the property at any one time and collectively, including organizers, employees, vendors, exhibitors, and spectators. That's the number that says has to be included on the application. And it may be splitting hairs here, but if there are 1,050 people at any one time there, to me, whether some of those people bought tickets or they're there selling or a food vendor, that is a large gathering. And that's just my opinion, but that's the number that the applicant is supposed to provide. And that's section 255-9C2 for your information. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity again.
Okay, thank you, Barbara.
Okay.
I just want to make Bob, I just want to make a note and a comment. We need to notify the applicant of these circumstances.
Well, I'm hoping he tuned in, and was watching because he knew the resolution was on for the
Okay, so hopefully, so we can double check that.
contract, but not, I can certainly reach out to him.
Thank you. It's important, especially under these circumstances. Drag racing was well received, and there is a lot of support. But if we need to tighten up certain areas, we had 2 board members table it, and so let's try to address this as soon as possible, and hopefully we're going to be able to get this on track.
Actually, the whole board tabled it.
Well, yeah, no, somebody made the motion and then somebody seconded, and then we agreed, you're correct in that sense. So we are going to, we just want to make sure that we do everything, the town board does everything in their power to try to move this forward.
Well, not for nothing, but we shouldn't approve any event if all the safety plans aren't approved and if the fire marshal hasn't signed off or the chief hasn't signed off,
Yeah, those are
we
my
have
main
no
concerns.
business
Yeah, they
approving
are,
any of
yeah,
it.
those are
So
my main concerns.
I don't know what we're even thinking about.
Yeah. So we need to ensure that they are in place, and that's why it was tabled. But we owe it to the applicant that if we took it this far, that we're going to try to work.
We
together.
need to know for future 255s
Yeah.
that everything's in place before it comes to us. It should never make it up
I
here.
don't think that's the way it has been done in the
I-
past.
I
think-
agree
I-
with you
I
100%.
think-
I
I think
agree
that
with
in
you.
the past, we've approved
But I think that's
these chapter
for-
55 subject to fire marshal approval, subject to police department approval, subject to further applications and contracts being entered into. This is a change in course, and I understand it's a little bit of a different application, but I'm going to, again, for myself, for the police department and for the fire marshal's office, say that that has not been the policy of this board.
I get that, but it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be the policy going forward.
All right,
So
I got it. I just want to
So
make sure
Bob, it
it's
was
clear.
your department, the fire marshal, which departments looked at the application?
As you know, about 2-3 years ago, the special events was pulled from my office and went to the town clerk, and they're doing a great job. They get them in, and they file them, and they send them around. In this case, This special event was filed, I think, in February and sent to all the board members, because the board members get, I think the entire board members, my office, fire marshal, chief, or police department, I think everybody gets the special events when they come in, including planning, to double check from a planning standpoint it's been done. So this was filed in February. So it's been in queue for 3 months now. So everybody knew about it.
So does it go
Goes
through
to everybody.
planning? It also goes through planning?
Yep. Right, Jefferson, it does go to planning? Yes.
So it's been in the system for 3 months, then why weren't all the fire marshals signed off on and the police signed off on? I mean, if you're saying it's been there, like it's been there a long time, guys, why now? Well, if it's been there a long time, why hasn't it been completed?
I have nothing further to say.
Okay.
I did raise that question, if we could vote on it contingent.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know what the precedent or the protocols were.
According to Bob, you can, and it has been done in the past. that
I
you
think
can-
we've done in the past, but again, I know that given all the concerns here, I don't think that would be, I think it'd be safer to go the other way.
Okay.
It's already been done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get to a board meeting.
Motion to adjourn the CDA meeting.
Sure. And we need a first and a second?
So moved.
Seconded?
Okay, great.
Motion Bayrat, second Hubbard.
We have-
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrat,
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Motion approved. Thank you all so much.
Joe, you did a great job, but you're much longer than Dawn's meetings.
Yeah, you know what? Good job, Joe.
I know Dawn's usually 5 minutes.
All right.
Joe gets
Again,
the
thank
one
you,
really
Joe, and, so we're back to reopening the town board meeting, and can I have a first and a second to approve the town board meeting? Town board,
Minutes?
The minutes of the 20th of April.
the 20th of April.
So moved?
Thank you.
Second.
Vote, please.
Certainly. Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrat.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The minutes are approved. Do you want me to go right into correspondence?
Yes, can you please do that?
Certainly.
Thank you.
We had a letter from Brian Carroll. He had comments on Resolution 315 of 2021, authorizing an agreement for cable cast services. There were 2 letters from Rhonda Frazone, and they were both concerning the parking on Central Avenue in Wading River. Antig Irwin and David Irwin also sent a letter regarding the parking restrictions on Central Avenue in Wading River. Kathleen McGraw sent a letter with concerns and opinions on the reopening of Town Hall. Kathleen Wetzel, she is the chair for the
Deborah.
Anti-Litter Committee.
Deborah Wetzel.
I'm sorry, Deborah Wetzel. She sent a letter of thanks to all who helped with last month's Anti-Litter Committee Earth Day cleanup, and she is requesting funding for such. Peter Janowski sent a letter of request for consideration of excavation permit exemption application for 5634 Route 25A, Wading River. Under reports, the tax receiver total tax collection to date as of May 12th was $105,188,485.31. The tax receiver also submitted their utility collection report for the month of April, and that was $259,723.51. And the police department submitted their April monthly report. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Okay, so, again, thank you, Diane, and we're gonna move forward now. We're gonna begin our public meeting that was scheduled today for 2:05. I think
We're a
it's
couple
getting a
minutes
little late. It is now 4:22 PM. And we're gonna open up this town board hearing concerning Riverhead's draft solid waste management plan. I'll now ask Drew Dillingham, our engineer, to come forward and to please briefly review this topic.
Come on up, Speedy.
But welcome back.
Hello again, Town Board.
Okay.
So back in March, if you recall, we discussed the draft solid waste management plan for the town. As I also mentioned, we haven't had a solid waste management plan in place since 1990. There was a draft plan in place in 2009 that was never finalized, and the rules changed in 2018, at which time the state contacted us, said we didn't have a plan in place, and that we had to develop a solid waste management plan. We discussed it that day. Today, I'm taking comments, questions, concerns regarding the plan. We'll have 10 days following this public hearing, and then written questions will be due on the 29th, or written comments will be due on the 29th of this month. So this is day 35 of the public comment period, and day 45 will be the 29th, and again, in the next 10 days, that's when people can submit their written comments on the plan. So at this time, I'd like to take any comments or questions from both the board and the public.
Just to clarify on the written comment, Drew mentioned it goes till the 29th, which is a Saturday, so it
Right.
jumps to Monday, which is a holiday, so it jumps to Tuesday, which is the 1st.
Okay,
So we do have somebody in the Zoom room,
okay.
and that is Ms. Blass.
Chip, can you move her forward? Great. It looks like she has her
Yes.
mic
Can you
on.
hear me now?
We can hear you.
Thank you very much. I'll be very quick. My name is Barbara Blass. I live in Jamesport.
Okay, Barbara.
And I do have a question about some information in the solid waste management plan as it pertains to handling and managing C&D. I read that the 10-year waste projections were not developed for C&D, and that the existing infrastructure, type, size of facilities is sufficient at this time with no changes recommended or anticipated. So I guess my question to Drew is that in light of that, there is a bid notice today for disposal of town-generated C&D. Since it was not called for in the swamp, I was wondering if that is in anticipation of the demolition of the buildings downtown, or is it meant to handle all future C&D generated by town operations?
Did you want to respond? You have any other questions?
Any other questions for Ms. Blass?
No, but thank you for asking.
Okay.
Hi, Barbara.
Hey, Drew, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Nice, very well, thank you.
So the intent on the C&D portion of the swamp was for the current situation as well as the future situation. The demolition that's going to take place downtown does not occur very frequently. We did realize that events like this would pop up from time to time, and we do have the local facilities to handle it, but because events like this are so rare, we didn't plan to expand any of the C&D facilities in the town at this time, and the DEC agreed with us.
So just to be clear, that means that this will not be an ongoing bid, and it will be specific for the demolition downtown, or the other way around?
What bid are you referring to?
There's a bid notice today for disposal of town-generated C&D. The town board is passing a resolution today.
I think you're referring to Resolution 330. Is that the one you're talking about?
I don't have the resolution number in front of me.
Drew, I
I'm
think it's
just
this
familiar
one,
with the fact that I read a resolution that is calling for that.
It's for
and
the
it was
disposal
not-
of town-generated construction and demolition material. Is that the one you're talking about?
That is, yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Drew, you want a copy of it?
Should have it right here.
I think it actually said that it was requested by the engineering department, so that's why I thought it would be appropriate to bring it up during the swamp discussion as well.
I'm gonna have to look into this further because this is the first time that I've seen this resolution. And I'm not familiar how in-depth it is, so I can't give you an answer at this time, but if you would please submit your question in writing, it'll definitely be addressed, and I can email you back an answer.
Oh, I very much appreciate that, Drew.
And the
Thank you very
resolution came
much.
from Bill. You came, this was your resolution, actually. But it cites the engineering part.
Are you finished, Barbara?
I am, Madam
Okay.
Supervisor. Thank you very much for
All right.
asking.
Sure.
Here's
No
Teresa.
problem. So we have
Oh,
Teresa.
Barbara, are you still there?
She'll be listening. Hi.
Is
Hi,
this actually
Teresa.
came from you?
Sorry for the last minute.
That's quite all right. Barbara, in answer to your question,
she's here.
that is a standard contract that the town has, it's due for a rebid at this time, and that's why it's out for bid. It's just a standard contract. It doesn't have, it doesn't particularly have anything to do with the demolition project at this time. Whether the engineering department is going to use it for that, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm so winded all of a
I
sudden.
know, because you ran.
I ran here.
People
From
Pulaski
I apologize. How it's going to be utilized for the demolition of what's happening downtown, I don't know. But this is just for the, the next rollout of this existing contract.
Okay, so the existing contract, though, we have with Crown Sanitation for C&D, I understood. So
Yes.
that's why, is that coming to an end?
Yes,
And
it
this-
is. That's where we're
Okay,
going out
that
to bid
makes
for
a
this
lot-
now. Pardon?
That makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
There we go. Thank you for running down, Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa.
Okay, anyone else? Do we have anyone else?
We have somebody else, Dan Sakowitz.
Okay.
You might be commenting on resolution.
Alice, you have to start the video. Yes. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Yes, I'd like to just briefly discuss the resolution number 19, 2021-343.
Did they state their name and?
Sir, this is a public hearing on the solid waste management plan. If you wanted to make a
Yes.
comment on that, we'd be happy to take that from you now.
And they have to identify themselves.
Right, and we also would need your full name and your handle as well.
You have to come back in on comments on resolutions.
Yeah. Let me get it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so that's all.
No other comments on that first public hearing.
Okay.
Could I just ask some questions about, I don't know whether,
Well, let's just finish with, can we finish
In
with the
public?
comments? Yeah, and then we can add the board. Would that be better? Because you might get some more stuff. Is that okay?
I think that was the last comment.
That was the last one.
Oh, that was the last one?
Yeah.
Great, perfect.
Okay.
No one else? Good, okay, go ahead.
So Drew, I have a question, just reading through some of the things, in terms of personal corridors, you referred to in the report as Huntington Recycling Center. And there's no carters out from here from Riverhead that are taking things to Huntington Recycling Center. I think you may have misunderstood, perhaps it's Covanta in Huntington that is accepting materials from the private recycling carters? And so that's mentioned a few times under some of the different companies.
Catherine, can you answer that? You're the liaison to sanitation.
No, I think Ken's doing fine with it.
Oh, okay,
And our town engineer is here.
okay.
What page are you looking at?
Like, for example, page 17,
That's important.
yep, so under
That's a
National
very
Waste
critical
Services,
issue,
it's
because I
mentioned.
think it is
It's also mentioned under page 19, Huntington Jet Sanitation's taking materials there.
I don't have the report with my shut-up.
So, I just think, from what I understand, Huntington Recycling Center only takes waste from residents of Huntington and does not accept stuff from outside Carter's, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, we have been in touch with Huntington, as well as any vendors or Carters that are associated with them, so we have spoken to them directly.
And they're gonna accept municipal waste from the town of Riverhead?
It's,
Or is
If
it
you're
going
on-
to Covanta in Huntington?
if you're on page 19,
Yes.
okay, show me what you're specifically
For example, let's look at Jet Sanitation, the disposal facility number 1 you have listed as Huntington Recycling Center. I just don't think that they take anything outside of only residents only in Huntington. So I'm just thinking
was-
that perhaps
what do you
when
know?
somebody said
Do
we
you know
bring it to
that?
Huntington, are
I
they
think
referring
that-
to Covanta in Huntington?
I think he's doing
I mean,
fine.
there's
No, but I'm
the
asking the
address
question,
is
do you
right
know that
there.
to be the case?
Huntington Recycling Center,
'Cause I-
641 New
I-
York Avenue.
No.
Thank you. All right,
So
I
that's-
agree with you. And
Just in terms of, I just wanted to clarify whether you're going to the town recycling center there, or are you going to Covanta facility, where things are gonna be, you know,
It's the
everything there is
Huntington,
burned.
like it says in the report, it's the Huntington Recycling Center at 641 New York Avenue.
Yeah. So I didn't know that they took anything from any outside. I thought that was for town residents only, so just something to look at. So,
Again, everything that
so
you,
where is it going, though? We need to establish.
yeah. Well, I think everything's
This is-
going to Covanta.
this
I
is,
mean, I think we must be bringing it to Covanta.
okay.
I know that you have an in-house recycling expert.
So I'm not trying, I just think that they may have said to you, oh yeah, we take everything to Huntington, but I think they may be referring to the Covanta facility and not the Huntington recycling facility.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that.
Okay. So, and then I don't know, if Catherine, you're the liaison, how many districts there are in River, like how many?
6.
How many districts?
Six.
are there?
6.
6?
Yep.
Okay,
6.
so my question is, from what I understand, so our 6 districts take all the municipal waste material. Is everything going directly to Brookhaven? But I understand that some of this is going to Peconic Services.
Correct.
And I don't see Peconic addressed in this.
Peconic is here somewhere. It definitely is. This is Cradle to Grave. Chapter 3, for all the solid waste in C&D leaving the town of Riverhead.
But I'll gladly sit down with you after, I just don't
Yes,
see
it's
Peconic
here.
mentioned anywhere in here, and I think that might be, anywhere up to 50% of our waste.
That much?
Nah.
Because, I think if we looked at what we brought to Brookhaven landfill about a year and a half ago, our tonnage kind of went down in half, so some of it must be going someplace else.
And what are we doing?
Not half.
What are we
Not
doing?
half, okay?
What are we doing with the excess waste that we're having? I know that Brookhaven is having, it's costly. They've been picking up excess waste because of everybody coming out east and the high level of real estate purchases, and so there is an extended, amount of waste. So do we have any idea if that's,
Well, it's during COVID, I think everybody else went up, the tonnage went up in every other town, so did we get a substantial increase during COVID? Everybody was cleaning their garage and basements, trapped at home?
Over the last year,
Yeah.
yeah,
it was.
it was,
increased,
I would
yes.
assume so.
Yeah, everyone stayed home, so,
Stayed home and you had extra people coming out.
right.
And maybe you took time to clean out your basement.
So I just wanted to address, I just don't see in here what, because I believe some of the carters do take stuff to Peconic, is that correct?
What's that?
Some of our carters taking stuff to Peconic?
Yeah, the way that works is, the town takes the town itself, one garbage truck, 2 workers, takes all the town's solid waste and brings it to Peconic. That's the town. The Carter, European American, they take garbage to Peconic only if they've got a heavy load that day. So if for some reason there was a holiday or people were having parties, and they didn't wanna, our Carter didn't wanna go all the way to Brookhaven, and the load was unusually heavy, they would take it to Peconic. So it's more of a default than a routine.
But then where's Peconic take it?
I
Peconic,
think Ohio.
again, if it's on here, I can find it for you.
Okay.
I think they package it, and don't they
Could be.
form it and possibly package it and
Yeah,
move
'cause
it
I
out of
don't-
state?
I don't think Peconic,
Is that the case?
Here it's,
runs anything.
page 16, it talks about Peconic at the top. 3.5A,
What page are you on, Drew?
16,
16?
right at the top, 3.5A.
So it says they're taking it to Ohio, and then also Virginia.
Oh, it
See,
does?
so everything is in here.
Okay.
Okay.
But we don't, and then the second question, so we don't direct, like, when we have a contract for our Carters, and so they're picking up residential, we're not telling them the final position where it's gotta go, or as long as it's in an option, it's not part of, like, it doesn't have to go to Covanta. I mean, and I only say Covanta, meaning, do we specify whether or not we want municipal waste burned, or we want it buried in a landfill?
No, we do not. Just disposed of legally
Yeah,
and low bid.
okay.
There's no way of putting a provision in there to tell us what they're gonna do with our garbage? Do we, because
Well,
it seems to me,
it's in
if they
here.
say it's gonna get burned, it's gonna cost the town less money. However, and you're gonna say we have to transport it to, repackage it and send it to Ohio, it's gonna cost a lot more money, right?
Can we pay the same price no matter what you're saying?
Yeah, yes, we do.
Okay,
The price is the same.
okay.
Covanta, I also mentioned last time, the ash landfill at Brookhaven is closing in 2024. From what I've heard, I think it's the county is already looking into alternative disposal methods because they're gonna have to do something with the ash.
I think they're, private people are possibly doing a rail spur.
Yeah.
Take it out.
That was it.
Yes.
That's it, exactly. They were gonna, and I forget who I talked to about this.
That's a
They were-
great idea.
That's what they're gonna do, they're gonna, build a rail spur near the facility. So it'll be easy to dispose of, rather than trucking it off the island.
So that was you answered my question too, was just the dollars and cents, because that's where I was going with it, whether Peconic or goes to Brookhaven, which essentially means Covanta. It's not costing us more in either way when we're splitting it up.
Right, cause it goes to the transfer facility in Brookhaven, then it goes to Covanta.
Okay.
And I promise you, within the next hour, I will find an answer to the Huntington Recycling Center.
We'll probably still be here, Joe.
Yeah, right?
I know you will.
We haven't even started pressing.
We didn't even finish the 205 public hearing yet, and it's 4:45.
Finally, we're having a night meeting.
Ken, did I answer your questions?
Yes, you did.
Yes,
Thank you
you
very
did.
much, sir.
Thank you, Drew.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we done?
I think we are. We have no comments.
No one
Anybody
come-
else from the public? So therefore, the time is 4:45, and we're gonna close this public hearing. And we're gonna leave it open for comments until June 1st at 4:30 PM at the Riverhead Town Clerk's office. And usually, as stated earlier, it was supposed to close on the 29th if we left it for 10 days, but being that it's a Saturday, we're gonna extend it to 12 days, and that's June 1st. And moving forward on the second public hearing, which was scheduled for 2:10 today. The time now is 4:46. And we are going to open the public hearing for consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 217 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Housing Standards. I'm going to ask the town attorney, Bob Kasakevich, to please brief us on this code.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
The general statement that's set forth in the public notice is that we are looking to do a repeal and replace. And it's a major repeal and replace because we're taking all of the existing Part 5, which is found in Chapter 217, and specifically repealing, I think it's 64 sections of the code, which start at Section 217-43 and continue on through 217-106. As a backdrop, Part 5 of Chapter 217 previously used to be found at Chapter 68. Chapter 68 was originally adopted in 1968, and that was adopted as what we called housing standards. And the reason for that was to address some of the issues such as occupancy, sizes in bedrooms, and various other things. In 2015, as I noted, we changed the numbering of our town code, and we incorporated this into 217, which is also where the building construction code is found. The reason this proposed legislation is coming to the board in part is due to the fact that it's at odds with the state legislation. In '84, the New York State Building Code standards were put into place, and as noted, this was adopted in '68, and some of the things that are inconsistent between the two have never been addressed. For example, in our code, as it exists, Section 217-52, we have certain occupancy standards for the size of a bedroom. We require 80 square feet for one person. The state code, which is the property maintenance code, says 70. So right off the bat, we're in contradiction with the state code, and we never sought relief from the Codes Division to provide for more stricter enforcement. So the sections are being repealed. As I indicated, those sections are those 217-43 through 217-106. One of those is the section that deals with the current structure as far as a fine or penalties under 217 Part 5. Presently, the fine is $250 for a violation. The code does allow as an alternative for a civil action to be brought into the Supreme Court. Under the new legislation, which will take some of the definitions that are odds with the state out of existence and will be more reliant upon definitions that are found in the state code, we will continue to have civil proceedings or civil penalties as an alternative for bringing court actions. However, the fine structure for a Riverhead Justice Court action has been bumped up a little bit, and that is found at 217-55, and it provides that for the first offense, it's a fine of not less than $750, nor more than $1,500. A second offense, $1,500 to $3,000, and for a third and subsequent offense, a fine of not less than $5,000, nor more than $10,000. Each of them also includes, as would be typical with a violation, punishment for a term not to exceed 15 days. There are some other things that, again, are pointing to the state code as far as allowing us to utilize our code in sync with the state code as far as issuing notices of violation and our contents of what the notices and appearance ticket would say. So that's the real broad brush scope of what was done here. And I guess unless there's any further questions from the board, we can hear what the public has to say about what's been done.
Okay, so I think we're gonna, do we have anybody here for this?
Actually, I wanted to talk about this a
Hold on a
minute.
second, let me try to run the meeting a little bit so we can flow. Just give me 1 second, Catherine, please. So we don't have anybody in that regard? Okay, so that's fine, so we'll close that part up. And I just want to add that we finally are able to move this through code, which is important. This will help us, so we can actually address the overcrowded housing. A lot of the summonses, and I did speak to one of the justices, not here, but in Southampton, and that one of the problems they were having was that there was a conflict. If there's a conflict between the local code and the state code, they have to throw out the summonses, and they're gone. And if the attorneys make that motion and say, well, state law is supposed to precede your local town in this regard, and so what this is doing now is aligning everything. So when we do issue these summonses, and code does go out, that these summonses are not going to be dismissed, and they're going to be upheld, which is going to enhance the overall effort to this code change. And so it's good that we're doing it. I can see that code has been moving forward very quickly recently, and I just want to thank you because this was long overdue, and it'll just be so much easier, so we can send a message out to the public that we mean business, and we're not gonna issue a summons and a lot of them have, that's gonna be dismissed in court.
It's nice that by adopting this, it puts us in line with the property maintenance code of the state of New York. So not only that, but as the state develops and changes codes over the next few years, we don't have to go back and individually do it here. So it's always done on a state level now, and makes it a little bit easier for our code enforcement. So we don't have to keep revisiting this now. We're matching what the state suggests.
One small part of this, it's always been a pet peeve with me after being a police officer, is they now are gonna force you to have a house number on your house. And that's so important for firemen and EMS and police. So many times you waste valuable time trying to find a location because they're not numbered. And this will force everybody to have on either property, if it's under construction, or on your house itself, or a dwelling. You'll have to have the house number too.
Yeah, that's very common. People will remove the numbers on the homes if they have multiple families living in a two-bedroom cottage, and in the basement, in a trailer outside, in a mobile home outside of their yard. It's very common to remove and you made a great point, very, very common to remove the numbers. So now that'll be an additional summons for them, and it's gonna stick in court, so that's very important. Catherine, I'm sorry.
Safety provision too.
Safety
So
provision.
first of all, I agree with you, Tim. I noticed that when I was running,
Oh,
when I
that
first
too,
ran,
yeah, that
I
too,
noticed
sure.
going door to door, how many homes
But why wouldn't you
didn't
want
have a house
that?
number on there, and I thought for emergency purposes, this
right.
is something that we have to have. It's just crazy that we don't have that. And I'll have to agree with the supervisor that this is long overdue, aligning this code and amping this housing code up, because this is something that I have actually worked on for a couple of years. In 2019, we tried to put this through where we really upped the fines, but that got voted down. And then I worked on this in code revision, and as Bob has stated, this is aligning our town code with the state code, which streamlines things for our code enforcement. And also, I'm pleased that it also ups the fines. And I think this is a matter of safety for the families that are living in the home and for the people that live near these homes. It's a matter of safety, and this is an issue that's really important to our community, and I am so pleased that we are moving forward with this. Just as an aside, as I was finishing my work on this, I got pulled off, I got pulled off of that committee, and the committee was given to other council people, but in the big picture of things, this is something that had to be done, and regardless of the silliness that happened, I'm glad that this is getting done, and I certainly support it.
Okay, and there really wasn't any silliness.
Yes, there was.
I did shuffle and made the redirected efforts, and we have a former code enforcement officer here, new council member, and I think that...
Police officer too.
And police officer, and I thought he would be more appropriate, Catherine. So it was not, I'm sorry you feel like that, but that's one of the responsibilities of supervisor, is to put the manpower and to direct and try to get the synergy as best as you can. And I'm sorry you feel that way, The bottom line is that we got this going. We finally executed it, it's finally executed, and this is for all the taxpayers, and it's to address the health and safety of our residents, and some, which includes children.
Well, this has nothing to do with my feelings. You know, it's all about getting work done. I'm just
Sure.
I'm stating the facts as to what happened. But, you know, I want good things for Riverhead, I want to get things done, and, you know, I don't really care about the silliness. This isn't about my feelings. In the big picture, this is about getting it done. And I was working hard getting stuff done, and that's not going to stop.
Okay, and I hope you do continue.
I am working.
And keep politics away from the town board meetings, but we're gonna move on from this topic. I'm glad that, we don't have anybody in the room still. Chip? Okay. So are we, anybody else wanna comment on that?
No.
We're good? Okay.
Before we get involved in the next public hearing on the water park, I'd like to recuse myself so that there's no appearance
I
of
think it's
impropriety.
not taken off. Hold on, I don't think it's taken off.
Yeah, that public hearing
Okay,
is
so-
not going to proceed.
Oh,
Okay, so let me just,
I thought Frank was gonna go get us dinner.
I know, yeah. So, unfortunately, things happen in government.
I still have it on the
I know,
agenda.
because it just happened.
Oh, okay.
2 minutes before, 2 minutes.
Anyway.
So let me just get the meeting back on track. So, so we concluded, we're gonna end the
Public hearing number 2 is concluded.
number 2, we're gonna end it.
Yep,
And
you'll keep
again,
the
we're
open
gonna,
comment, the written comment period open, right?
yep, we're gonna leave it open for the, public comments, and that'll be, June 1st at 4:30 at the clerk's office. And we did have, I want to make a note that we did have a third public hearing on the Island Water Park. 5 minutes before the town board meeting, we were advised that there was some missing paperwork and notification. And unfortunately, the meeting will take place today. However, I believe we also have to renotice the meeting. Jeff, could you come up and please describe briefly? But we will reschedule it and we will renotice it. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, or good evening, soon.
Soon.
Almost, getting there. It's getting to be
Okay.
dinner hour. Yeah, they were required to post notice in the paper, and do the mailing to the adjacent property owners and post the property with a sign, and none of that was done. The notice was sent to them, but it went to apparently an old email address, and we were never notified of a corrected email address. So they never got the instructions to do all the public postings that they were required to do, so obviously we can't open the public hearing. So it'll
Okay.
have to be redone all over again.
Yeah,
Okay.
just to clarify, that from the town clerk's perspective, she put the information in the paper, and it was posted at the town end. But the applicant also has an obligation to put up the sign and do the mailing of adjoining properties, and through the miscue, that wasn't done. So the public hearing can't proceed today.
Okay, so we'll have to accept that. Can you put in, can we renotice it?
Yes,
okay.
yeah, we'll take care of that. And I'm sure the applicant is well aware of it now, what they have to do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sure they were prepared to be here, so unfortunately, we cannot take off with
Yeah,
that.
we'll coordinate with them, make sure it gets done.
Okay. And everything is in shape. Good. Okay. I think that concludes our public hearings, and we're going to move on to resolutions. Devin, can you please read the resolutions for today?
Well, I think
And
first
we have quite a bit, don't we?
we're going to just take some comments first on the resolution, Supervisor. Right?
Okay, yep. How many do we have today? All right, everybody better order dinner.
23,
So first, we're going to bring up Dan Sakowitz, who wants to make a comment on one of the resolutions before you today. Just a reminder for everybody in the room, you'll have 5 minutes to make your comments on any of the
Okay, there.
resolutions.
Hi, welcome back.
Well, sorry for the interruption before.
Okay.
My apologies.
No, it's not. It's a long night, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, we're at attendance through Zoom, and we love the Zoom format. It's great, and thank you for suggesting keep that going forward. Anyway, on 2021-343, we attended the meeting on May 5th. We expressed our concerns that we only have a room for one car in our driveway, and restricting parking on the street to only those with beach permits. Well, we could park on the street. We have 2 sons, we have guests. It's obviously a beach community. We have a lot of company in the summer. Would create a real severe hardship for us not having our guests be able to park in front of our house, and the nearest parking is probably suggested. We could have them park a mile away and shuttled in, but that's obviously not, as a homeowner, not a situation any of us would like. We were offered a town meeting, town work session, which I guess was overlooked. So we are requesting that this resolution be tabled until the work session, which we thought was a very good idea. We could try to work out some other issues or solutions. It was brought up during the meeting, the possibility of medallions that would allow sort of a guest pass. And we could certainly explore other options before we find out that we can no longer entertain friends at our house because there's no parking.
Devin, what resolution number is this? We're taking
343.
343, good.
We're tabling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Sakowitz, I spoke with him earlier today, and I spoke with my fellow board members. We did mention at the May 5th meeting that we were going to conduct a work session and bring it up and go through it more thoroughly. And right now, it appears that the people on Oak Street aren't all that thrilled about having no parking on Oak Street, but the people on Central Avenue do want it. So I think we need to sit down and talk to both parties from both streets and thoroughly go over this, and whether it be a placard system or whether it be that Central has no parking and Oak does, we need to sit down as a group and work it out at a work session and make sure we get it right, because it is, you know, I mean, Mr. Sakowitz, you can't have anybody over to his house. It's kind of difficult. Your own family you can't have over. So I don't think any of us would want that, you know, they couldn't park their car on your property or in front of your property. So I'm going to make a motion to table this when it comes up, and we'll discuss it further at a future work session.
Okay, and I'll second that. I totally agree. We need to work with the community. And if there are differences according to the street, and there are options to this. I mean, there's obviously options, and we'll bring it up. Let us know when you want it back up, Tim, and we'll put it back up for discussion. Absolutely.
I do appreciate that. Just another 15 seconds and I'll be done. It was suggested the next work session could be a week from Thursday. I do a medical appointment. My apologies for that. I'd like to keep it. I would not like to cancel it. If it can be done the following Thursday, we certainly make ourselves available.
Okay. We'll work to when it's available.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We know it's time sensitive too, so we want to get it done as soon as possible.
Yeah. Will we be notified at this point, or do we have to keep checking the website in order to find out whether it's been scheduled or when?
You could call my office, because we put up the agenda, and just call my office, and my deputy is here. She's aware of it. She's going to flag the resolution. And there are some days, because there's a holiday in June, that we might not have a work session. There had to be some adjustments. And so she'll call you and agree on a date and confirm with you, Tim. Okay?
Yeah,
That'd be good.
absolutely.
Yeah, so she'll call you when it's, and then everybody will be on track. Absolutely.
So a couple things on this. First of all, Tim, you did mention the placards, so I do want to work that out, because I liked the idea of the placards, because yes, then when people have company, they can have a placard that they give to their guest. And my only concern about this, and I do think it is a timely matter, and Bob, I'm wondering too, couldn't we have separated out the 2 streets? Why do we have to do the 2 streets together?
That's the purpose of the
That's
work
how it was presented,
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
That's
I know,
not
but
that it
it's
was-
easy, we could do the 2 streets separately. If the reason I'm asking is because Central Avenue is really very concerned, and they've been sending me a lot of pictures, because they have a lot of problems with it, and I think they're pretty much in agreement in their street. So it's just that we've got the 2 streets lumped in together. Oak doesn't necessarily want to move forward with this.
The difficulty with that is Central Avenue, I'm just guessing now, can probably allow parking of 25 cars, and it would be crowded, but it can maybe 15 cars, I haven't counted. But our street can probably allow 5 or 4 or 5. So that would put all the parking that's now on Central Avenue, all of it onto a much smaller street, so that also presents issues. that,
Makes
well,
sense,
I'm okay with
absolutely.
no parking restrictions. I think taking all of that volume and putting it onto Oak Street, which is literally 5 houses long,
Right.
with lots of driveways, would create a worse situation.
So we'll have the discussion, it's just that I am concerned about putting it off into June because the season has already started and the people in Central Avenue are upset about it.
Yeah, he can't make next week, and that's the 27th, so it would be June. We're gonna try to put it up for the next work session.
I know,
one in June.
so
It would be
you're
in
going to
June.
have, you're going to be coming in, he's going to come in for this?
He would like to
Well, they would do it
participate
by
in the work
Zoom,
session, is what he's
but he would
asking.
like to do it with people from Central Avenue again, and sort this out one last final time, and
Yeah, we're
make
gonna put
right.
it up for the following. He can't make,
Okay, it's just.
Catherine, he can't make next one.
No, I
next
understand
Thursday.
that.
We're gonna
Work
put it-
sessions, we don't often have participation, that's why I was asking. Okay.
No,
all
we're
right.
gonna discuss it, and if he wants to, the following Tuesday, if he wants to discuss it, then we're going to have the comment section. And people can chime in from, you know, whichever street they want, so we'll open it up. That's the purpose of.
I will
open
just say
comments.
that there is an urgency to get this done
Yeah,
timely
it
because the
is.
season is upon us. So I
Right.
hope that the people that are asking for the tabling would put their mind to or their pen to the paper and try to get some kind of serious
We are.
solution.
The only thing I have is I have an echocardiogram that day. If I have to cancel, I will.
No,
I don't think so.
No,
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 we're
Of course
not.
not, but
Just continue to
So I
send
am
your
fully
comments
available,
prior
fully
to.
He's talking
vested,
about
so
writing, sending a letter or writing
Right.
things.
yeah, just having some kind of solution that is going to satisfy all of the parties involved. That's really what I'm
Absolutely.
asking.
Will this also involve the town? Because obviously placards are an option, and my neighbor, I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't accept that. It alleviates the problem, except for an occasional neighbor maybe parking on Central Avenue. Does the town need, what's the process for the town to be involved? Because obviously they have to approve that process and buy into it. Bob, are there any issues with placards being available to Oak
We
Street
will-
Central Avenue residents?
I don't think we presently have a placard system, but I do think that the rec division from time has issued what they call a special event placard. So maybe we could look into that as an alternative.
And
That
show
would-
them the rear view mirror.
Because I know that they do that in connection with locations where we limit the beach parking, I think, in other spots. I'll speak to Ray Coyne. Getting back to Councilperson Kent's question, I think we could do an adoptive central only, but as your colleague to your right pointed out, sometimes when we do legislative things, there's unintended consequences that are not thought of. So by just, closing off Central and forcing everything onto Oak, that might not be an answer.
Right,
exactly
well,
what's gonna
that
happen.
point came up right after I
Yeah,
said that.
yeah, so.
I just am thinking that the season is already beginning, so we need to just move things along, that's all.
Okay,
No one else for comments on resolutions, Supervisor?
okay, so I think we're gonna move on to resolutions.
Everybody ready?
Almost, give us,
We're almost
Tim's
gonna have
gotta
our
get
first
up
6
and I
o'clock
have
That's
to.
what I said. I said I wanted a 6 o'clock meeting.
You have your
You
license?
have it.
All right.
Yeah, you're getting it.
Yeah,
We're gonna add 2 more.
Resolution 325.
Which one, okay.
Okay, I bet it's me, isn't it?
Oh, we're gonna-
Sewer Capital Project, number 20031, Riverhead Sewer Treatment Plant Upgrade Closure, so moved.
seconded?
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 326.
Establishes fair and reasonable sewer rent for out-of-town facilities for calendar year 2021 and ratifies and confirms fair and reasonable sewer rent for out-of-town facilities for calendar year 2018, 2019, and 2020. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 327.
Before I read, I just want to say the lighting up here is so much better than down in the hole.
Oh, is it?
I can see everything clearly
Well,
now.
welcome back.
That's a song.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice to bidders for removal and disposal of sludge cake and grit screen waste. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
I'm glad you could read all those words. Yes.
Hubbard.
Grits and
Like
cakes,
grit.
yes.
Aguirre.
Don't get hungry.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 328.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post a notice to bidders for uniforms and work clothing. So moved.
Seconded,
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 329.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice to bidders for diesel generator maintenance. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 330.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post the attached notice to bidder for disposal of town-generated construction and demolition material. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 331.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post bid for additional concessions, vendors at town parks and beaches 2021. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 332.
Awards bids for concessions vendors at town parks and beaches. So moved.
Seconded,
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 333.
This amends resolution number 2021-252. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 334.
Appoint seasonal clerk to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yep.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 335.
Ratifies and accepts the resignation of a traffic control officer. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 336.
Ratifies the appointment of an intern to the police department. So moved.
Seconded,
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Welcome aboard, Tara Mulligan. Yes, a student at Utica College.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 337.
Authorizes supervisor to execute a stipulation with Local 1000 AFS CME AFL-CIO Riverhead Unit of the Suffolk Local 852. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 338.
Authorizes the retention of Cushman and Wakefield as an expert in the matter of Riverhead PGC LLC versus the assessors of the town of Riverhead and the town of Riverhead. Don't know why that's twice. So moved.
Seconded.
Both towns of Riverhead.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
I didn't get a second,
Kent.
but
Yes.
Oh, I know why it's twice. It's because the action is against the assessors as well as against the town of Riverhead.
I thought there was a reason,
Yeah.
but it was just a little weird.
It's
Thank you,
assessors,
Bob.
it's assessors of the town of Riverhead and the town of
All
Riverhead.
right, well, thanks for clarifying.
Okay. And Tim, did you vote?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Aguirre.
yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 339.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with D&B Engineers and Architects PC regarding a portion of the town of Riverhead's stormwater management program. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 340.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement authorizing the town to accept funds from Suffolk County Office for the Aging to supplement the town's residential repair program for the elderly. So moved.
Seconded,
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 341.
1 second, here we go. Authorizes the supervisor to issue a letter to the Suffolk County Department of Health Services allowing the use of Pine Barrens credits originated from property located in Riverhead, 400 Town Line LLC. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 342.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post public notice to consider a local law to amend Chapter 221, Article 1 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Community Preservation Project Plan. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 343.
I'd like to make a motion to table Resolution 343.
Seconded.
And that is pertaining to, can we read it out?
That central, yes, adopts a local law to amend Chapter 289 entitled Vehicle and Traffic Parking Regulations of the Code of the Town of Riverhead, Parking by Permit, Central Avenue and Oak Street, Wading River.
Okay, so, you seconded?
Yes.
Okay. A resolution is gonna be
Oh,
tabled.
Okay, Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes to table.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, to table.
Resolution 343 is tabled. Resolution 344.
Setting a public hearing for proposed amendment to Chapter 211 of the Riverhead Town Code. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 345.
Approves the terms of First Amendment to lease agreement between Riverhead Water District and New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, Pulaski Street, Tin Man. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 346.
Grants exemption as provided by Chapter 229, Excavation and Grading of Riverhead Town Code for agricultural productions to Melissa Solinsky for premises located at 5634 Route 25A, Wading River, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 0600761-12. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see this going into agricultural production. You know, the as of right use in this property could have seen a dwelling or something else, and I think it's a great spot. It's directly next to other farms, so I think it's a really wonderful spot for vineyard, for vines. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's gonna enhance the beauty in that area. It's right next to East Wind, and we're all gonna support it. And again, I totally agree with you, Frank. It's good to see this kind of bringing a winery to Calverton. So, no, actually Wading River.
Wading
So,
River.
Wading River.
And it replaces a dilapidated building, too.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, I think there was
another
two of
good
them in
sign,
there,
yeah.
right? I
Directly
think
next
there
to
was
Lewin Farm, so
Yeah.
it's
next
a
to
nice
Lewin's
continuation.
Farm,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's gonna enhance, and I think we are promoting wineries in Calverton and Wading River. Things are coming down the pipeline in that regard. No more solar, we're gonna go down that road. Anyway, I'm gonna say yes.
Well, I'm up to Kent.
Yes.
So exciting.
Okay. Hubbard.
Yes.
And that was a yes from Aguirre, right?
Nah, yes, it was.
Okay. Resolution adopted. Resolution 347.
Pays the bills. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. And now we have two that we're taking off the floor.
Okay, so,
Okay, and you will have those, I'm assuming.
yeah,
Yep.
can
I got
we,
both here.
yeah, can we make sure that they get read by title before we make that motion?
What do you got, 349? Okay, Resolution 348, I'd like to take off the floor. Resolution reads, authorizes co-sponsorship of Alive on 25 Street Festival on July 1st, July 15th, July 29th, August 12th, 2021. Rain date will be August 19th, 2021, 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. with the Riverhead Business Improvement District Management Association Incorporated along Main Street between Griffin Avenue and Union Avenue and inclusive of the Riverhead portion of Peconic Avenue. Authorizes the supervisor to execute a license agreement with the designated craft food vendors, alcohol vendors, and other parties. Suspends enforcement of Riverhead Town Code Section 205-3, which is public consumption and open possession of an alcoholic beverage, as solely limited to the aforementioned dates, time, and place of the Alive on 25 Street Festival.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Seconded.
This is time urgent, that's why we're taking it off the floor.
Absolutely.
The Alive on 25 originally was gonna go with 2 dates this year. They've decided, the vendors and the businesses downtown have asked for 4 because of the economy. Patchogue is not doing their Live at 5 this year, so Riverhead feels that they can pick up the extra people here and be very successful with it. And that's why it's time sensitive, because alcohol licenses and everything else have to
SLA?
get, SLA has to be issued, and it's very time concerned. So that's why I
Is this
took
where
it
you
off the
talked
floor.
about the corrals? too?
There will not be corrals this year because of COVID, and everything will be done with whatever COVID stipulations are in place at that time. The corrals will be removed, and you will be able to walk freely in the street with a cup of whatever your choice is, as long as it's in the appropriate cup. All the bartenders will be tip certified. You'll still be, and you're gonna have to have a wristband if you're over 21 when you go somewhere and get served. So that's all the same, you just won't be harbored up in a corral.
So I think this is a good thing. Things are opening up.
Yes.
We're up here at the podium, we're not wearing masks, and we're having more events.
Good sign.
It's a great sign, and it happened so quickly. And we're gonna keep going. There's still a lot of work to be done behind the scenes, and we're gonna continue it, and Suffolk County is approximately 50% vaccinated, and I think that's part of, and so is the state, so we're gonna keep going as fast as we can. We're waiting. So can we take this to vote now?
Okay, so this was,
This would be resolution 348? 348.
Right.
correct.
Did he have a second?
Yes, I think
not
Councilman
seconded.
Rothwell
Yes, he did.
seconded, yes. Okay, so,
Do you need me to read it again for the vote?
No.
no,
No.
okay.
Okay, good, thank you.
He would.
Yes, yeah, read it again,
Slower.
Tim. Slower, backwards.
Okay, and resolution 348, so moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Okay, so that's Rothwell,
Yes, thanks
Dave?
for the work of the BIDMA.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre. So-
Absolutely, we're looking forward to it.
Oh, you know what, I don't think I did the roll call for the, to take it off the floor. Okay, well,
You didn't have to vote to take it off the floor? I thought we did
yeah,
that
we
first.
did, yeah.
I thought we
I was
did that
wondering
first.
about that.
Yeah.
We didn't do
I
it.
didn't do the
When I
roll
read
call
it.
for that.
Oh,
When
you
we
didn't
read
do
it,
it?
I
Okay.
thought
The
we
second,
voted.
but not the roll call.
Want to go back and do it?
Yeah, well, we could,
We should?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, so resolution 348 is taken off the floor.
Yes.
Doing it
So now we'll
backwards.
go back and,
And take a
Motion to take it off the floor.
right, or motion to adopt,
Motion to adopt.
yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Resolution 348.
okay, and seconded by
Ken?
Okay.
Yes.
Ken. Okay, so now we'll have the vote for that, okay. So Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Absolutely.
Resolution adopted. Okay. And now we'll move to Resolution 349, which is also being taken off the floor.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with the Riverhead Business Improvement District Management Association, Inc. regarding 2021 calendar year events and services non-proton. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's off the floor, so.
Yes,
Take it
this
off
is
the
for
floor
off the
first.
floor. Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 349 is taken off the floor, now we'll call it for the vote for adoption.
Perfect.
So that was Rothwell?
Yes. Yeah, so moved, sorry.
Okay, and.
Second.
Vote, please.
For a
and
vote.
Did someone second?
Who's gonna
Second.
second?
Second, okay. Okay, Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes, I just want to mention that this came about today.
Yes.
Where, I mean, we're moving fast.
Right.
You know, you had your meeting at what time, Tim, today?
8:30 this morning.
8:30 this morning. I'm getting texts while I'm in the doctor's office, and can we get this on? Can we get it? We needed to move.
Councilor McCormick was here, we got the
That's
ball
right,
rolling, we
McCormick
took care of the
was-
legalities.
And thank you, Dan.
Good to go.
And within hours, and, you know, because we had a meeting, this is what we have to do. And it's great to see it, you know, happening so quickly.
And I actually have a meeting with the bid in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, well, we might be late.
Okay, so Resolution 349 is adopted.
Great.
right.
It's great to see that we're moving our
exciting.
town very, very quickly forward. Oh, he'll be happy, right?
Oh, very.
Okay, so I think this concludes everything.
Well, unless
Do you
there's-
have any
there's public
statement?
comment time.
We just have to open up for open
Yeah.
comment on any matter, and we do have one person, that's Ms. Churchun.
Okay, so we're done with the resolutions, right? Done in that sense, and then we have again, We have one person?
Takwi.
Takwi? Okay. So we're gonna move forward. Bring her up.
Hello?
Hi, we can hear you.
Oh, terrific.
Good
I didn't
evening.
realize my hand was raised, but since it is, and you've recognized me, I'd like to thank you, town board members as CDA members, for taking the concerns that we've presented to you today and doing your utmost to secure our safety and to look out for the folks in Calverton and for the folks in Riverhead. Thanks very much.
Takwi, thank you, and that is our job and our responsibility is to work with the public, serve the public, and to hear the public. So, and it'll be addressed. However, we're gonna try to move it forward, provided all the safety, as quickly as possible. Listen, we were able to get a resolution in within hours on a positive, so, and I can't wait, and I'm hoping that these races do take off, and I think that's it. Chip? No one else? I think we are.
I think we should give Tim Gannon a proclamation for hanging in there.
Yeah.
Even Denise left.
Denise even left.
Yeah, we're gonna give you one for resiliency to sit in those chairs.
Tim, you get brownie points.
Okay, so I think you have a meeting, so, and everyone's done? No comments? Catherine, any comments?
No.
You good? Okay, good. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to close this meeting. Can I have a first and a second?
Motion.
Second?
Okay, all in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
So move. Everyone be safe. Thank you, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Get you back to bed now, and then you can tell me.